Rumors, sources, folks talking about Walker Kessler, about Darren Peterson. Does Darren Peterson want to avoid playing for the Utah Jazz? Is Walker Kessler upset with the organization? Answers today on The Drive. At least that's our goal. Hello, how are you? Drive time, Tuesday afternoon style. 17 minutes past the hour, 2 o'clock. We have a potential upset kind of alert in the World Cup. France is the Vegas favorite, prediction market favorite, whatever we use these days to win the thing. And right now, through 53 minutes, we are deadlocked at 0-0, France-Senegal, as the 2026 World Cup continues to roll along. The U.S. men's national team will be back in action on Friday against Australia. That's a 1 o'clock Mountain Time kick. Can be seen on Fox. We will be on air during that game. We'll give you the update. So we'll talk a little World Cup soccer on the program today. The offseason has officially begun in the National Basketball Association 1 week from today. We're hoping will be a historic day for our local pro basketball team, the Utah Jazz, who own the number 2 overall pick in the NBA draft. And rumors and intrigue and folks discussing possibilities going on right now. Darren Peterson will meet with the Washington Wizards. He will not meet with the Utah Jazz. An unsubstantiated report on social media that Darren Peterson is hoping to go either 1 or 3 and does not want to go number 2 to the Jazz. We have danced this dance before, namely last year when a young man named Ace Bailey had his rep leak stories to the media that he wanted to go to Washington at 6 and did not want the Jazz to draft him at 5. I will remind you, Austin Ainge does not give a rip. He took Ace, and if Darren's on the board at 2 and Austin thinks he's the best player available, Darren Peterson will be drafted by the Utah Jazz, whether he likes it or not. The same old story, man. It gets a little old, but we'll talk about it on the show today. If you missed the Mark Harlan interview yesterday, I thought it was a really, really kind thing of him to do, to roll in the studio and be willing to answer some maybe difficult questions I posed to him. We'll talk about that on the show today. If you missed it, it's up on the website, also our podcast page. So definitely check that out. We'll do some college football. Of course, the Brendan Sorsby saga has come to an end as he's going to enter the supplemental draft and will not play college football next year for Texas Tech. So, Will Hammond, you are up, young man. Coming off an ACL injury. We'll do some college football on the show. Busy day today on a Tuesday afternoon. We'll start things off with Tim McMahon. I will remind you that even though Sam Amick's story and his social media posts about Walker Kessler are getting a ton of attention and folks engaging with it, Tim McMahon on this show for about a year and a half has talked about the chasm that seems to exist between Walker's agency, CAA, and the Utah Jazz about Walker's value on the open market. So we'll see what Tim has to say about that today. I referenced the Mark Harlan interview and some college football. Chris Comrani is going to be live in studio. We'll do a little World Cup with CK as well. Dave Fox will join us. I don't know what we're going to do with Dave today, but he's going to be here. And then how about the captain himself, Kyle Beckerman, KB5, longtime captain of RSL, U.S. men's national team, stalwart central defender, should have started against Belgium. Hot take. We'll do a little RSL, little World Cup with Kyle today on the program. And then we'll go from there. So Tim McMahon, Chris Comrani, Dave Fox, Kyle Beckerman, me, Spence Checketts. Hello, how are you? Happy Tuesday. And that young man who also wished he was either drafted 1 or 3 to avoid Utah, Porter Larson. The same old story. Why are you wearing sunglasses inside?
It's bright.
It's not bright in there. It's dark in there. What are you doing?
It just feels bright.
Do I need to remind you of the Larry David quote once again?
Yeah, go for it.
There are 2 types of people that wear sunglasses inside. Mm-hmm. Blind people and a-holes.
Yep.
Are you blind?
Nope.
All right. I don't know what that says about you. What are you doing for real? Does it really feel bright?
No, but I got like actual glasses. Like instead of the usual gas station purchase, I have some blue light lenses.
So are you flexing on YouTube right now?
No. In fact, not even because I can control the camera. I'm not even on it at the moment. But no, I got some blue light lenses, and I'm looking at so many screens in here, Spence. And out your glaring window as well.
We need natural light in the studio. I don't want to sit in a cold cave for 4 hours, so I have to go take an Epsom salt bath after the show. We need natural light in here.
I agree. I agree.
Real quick, did you get hit by a car yesterday?
Yeah.
What the hell?
Apparently was riding the Knicks high a little too high and had to get taken down a notch. Crossing the street in front of the convention center right here behind the studio. And a fella in a Chevy Silverado decided that he didn't need to stop at the crosswalk. I see so many cars in this city just blast through red lights that I am like entirely vigilant when I'm walking around.
Okay.
So I saw it coming. I watched him and looked at through his windshield and saw him not looking at the road.
Okay.
So like braced it, jumped up on his hood, rolled off. I got scraped up a little bit, but no injuries.
Okay.
To speak of.
Yeah, because the old producer of this show, Brady, tweeted at me last night about giving you a day off, and I'm like, what the hell is this? And then I saw your original tweet that you had been hit by a truck.
Yeah.
But you're good.
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right.
I hope the audio from the traffic camera in that intersection by the Marriott never sees the light of day, but we're good.
Did he stop?
Yeah, he stopped.
Okay.
I got the info just in case, I don't know, something hurts later on.
I think something hurts and you're about to make a little cash.
But no, I mean, he was apologetic and I think very surprised. And I laid into him pretty good.
Okay. Well, as you
understandably so.
I'm glad you're all right. Look both ways, kids. And if you're driving across the crosswalk, go ahead and stop and let pedestrians cross.
Thank you.
Hot take on to Tuesday.
PSA.
All right, we've got a penalty potential. We've got a VAR check for a penalty in France-Senegal. We'll keep you up to date there. Our first guest today is going to be Tim McMahon. But before Tim stops by, courtesy of our friends at DraftKings, it's time now for your opening tip. Now, DraftKings Sports is live in all 50 states, and that means you, Utah. The whole world is watching one tournament right now. Group stage chaos, knockout drama, stoppage time heartbreak. The DraftKings app is now live in Utah, so whether you're catching the early kickoff before work or the late match at the bar, you're in on every minute, every match, every moment, all in one app. The world's biggest stage is in the palm of your hand. New DraftKings customers right now, you sign up with promo code ESPN700, and you spend $5 to get $200 in total rewards. That's code ESPN700. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Event trading offered by DraftKings Predictions, a CFTC-registered introducing broker. Trading involves risk of loss. Market availability varies. Eligibility restrictions apply. $50 every 7 days via click-to-claim issued in non-withdrawable prediction dollars that expire in 1 year. That ends on June the 28th. Terms are dkng.co/predictions promo. An awkward transition from a DraftKings read to the end of the Brendan Sorsby era. Saga, I should say. All right, so in case you missed it, and if you're a sports fan, I'm quite sure you did not. Yesterday, after we signed off air, it was announced that Brendan Sorsby plans to apply for the NFL supplemental draft, which essentially ends this complicated 4 or 5 month story situation. And look, ultimately, this comes down to, as I was reading about this comes down to a bad calculation from the Attorney General from the state of Texas, who, if you look into, has made a living off of some pretty shady behavior anyway. Without the threat from the Texas AG, the Big 12 would not have had an angle to file their lawsuit against Texas Tech. And as a result of that lawsuit, it became pretty clear that Texas Tech and Brendan Sorsby, they just didn't have any pathway forward, right? Jeffrey Kessler walks away as the big winner here. I would imagine that Brendan Sorsby had to pay Jeffrey Kessler a bunch of money just to get here, and all of that work is for naught. Now, Cody Campbell releases his statement saying Texas Tech will not seek the return of any money paid to Sorsby through his NIL agreements with the university. My guess is that's probably because most of it's gone to pay his legal bills, to go through a process that ended with him not being able to play college football anyway. So, look, we've talked about this story from every single angle. We have brought guests on to talk about it, to try to help us understand what the legal process is and how it was going to play out. He had been ruled ineligible by the NCAA after it was discovered that he placed more than 9,000 bets, totaling $90,000 on professional and college sports over 4 years while enrolled at Indiana, Cincinnati, and at Texas Tech, including 40 wagers involving Indiana football when he was a freshman with the Hoosiers in 2022. And then, of course, what Jeffrey Kessler did is what these attorneys do that have so many connections and are so powerful. He found a judge in Lubbock that would grant the injunction, clearing the way for him to play. The appeal was initially set for February, which, of course, would have been after the college football season was over. But what happened over the past 48 hours, again, directly involves this threat made by the Attorney General in the state of Texas. Without that threat, the Big 12 did not have an angle here. A lot of people applauding the work of the lawyers in the Big 12. Okay, so they filed for a federal injunction. That was Monday morning for the rights to potentially discipline Brendan Sorsby under its rules. And then the NCAA separately asked an appeals court for an expedited resolution to the local case as opposed to waiting until February. And it became very clear that between the Big 12's motion and the NCAA asking for the appeal, that either the Big 12 or the NCAA were going to have the power to discipline Brendan Sorsby and therefore not allowing him to play. So it's clear that whether it's Brendan Sorsby or just his team, Jeffrey Kessler, Cody Campbell, Texas Tech, it became very apparent that there was not going to be a pathway forward, and therefore Brendan Sorsby will enter the supplemental draft. Now, this, to me, is how the ending should have gone, okay? This feels like the right deal. And I also will absolutely leave space and hope that this young man gets well and finds a way to carve out a career for himself in pro football. And for all the people that are talking about the NFL, being unwilling to take a chance on this kid, a quick Google search about what the NFL tends to overlook in the name of talent will manifest a bunch of different stories of crimes committed that make this look like elementary school. Now, of course, gambling on the deal, no matter what, and we talked to Mark Harlan about this yesterday, that is going to be a massive red flag. But it only takes one general manager, certainly with a position of quarterback, to believe that he has a chance to be very special under center in the NFL, to at least give him a shot. And then it's up to Brendan Sorsby to prove that he has put these problems behind him and then go to work to learn how to play quarterback in pro football. Do I know if he's going to be an awesome quarterback in the NFL? I do not. I have no idea, okay? A lot of people believe if he would have put together one more really good year at Texas Tech, he could have been a first-round pick coming up next year. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Ultimately, this does feel like it's the ending that probably should have happened. And now we move on to analyze exactly what Big 12 football will look like next year with potentially Will Hammond under center and not Brendan Sorsby. All right, coming up next, Walker Kessler and the Utah Jazz at odds, according to Sam Amick. I will remind you that Tim McMahon has been talking about this for about a year, if not more, on this show. Week away from the NBA draft, the NBA offseason's here. We'll do some pro basketball with Tim McMahon, then Chris Camerani live in studio. Dave Fox, Kyle Beckerman, good Tuesday show. Keep it here on ESPN 700. We are 1 week away from the NBA draft. I'll take this opportunity to remind you our NBA draft show will be at Big Willie's downtown with myself, Gordy Chiesa, and Richard Smith. We're going to go from about 6 to 9 o'clock, so join us for that. But a lot to talk about today with our next guest, Tim McMahon. Happy NBA offseason, Tim. How you doing, buddy?
Howdy, partner. Doing all right. How about you?
We're good. We're good. Jazz fans are panicked, and I have taken the opportunity to remind everybody that for about a year and a half, you have talked about the potential chasm, gap, what have you, that may exist between Walker Kessler, his reps, and the Utah Jazz. And now there's an athletic report corroborating what you've talked about for a long, long time. So the negotiating window is open. Jazz fans a little bit anxious. Tim, what's the latest with the Jazz and Walker Kessler?
I mean, really, not a lot has changed since, I don't know, months ago, and that is the Jazz value Walker Kessler. They intend to keep him. There is an offer on the table that they feel like is reflects the fact that they really highly value him and his representation, and I guess Walker himself feels like his value is significantly higher than what the Jazz have put on the table. And I told you I thought that the Jazz's offer was going to come in somewhere between $25 and $30 million a year. My understanding is it's right in the middle of that range. They've put 5 years, almost $140 million on the table. And again, Walker and his representation are looking for significantly more than that. He's a restricted free agent. The Jazz have the right to match any offer. Like, none of this is surprising or new or anything along those lines. It's not going to be a pleasant process. I still think the most likely scenario is that Walker ends up back in Utah on a deal pretty close to what the number that I just told you is.
So, look, the fact of the matter is Walker is not an unrestricted free agent, so the Jazz will retain his rights even if he signs an offer sheet with another team. Is there any chance this ends in a sign and trade or Walker Kessler playing for somebody else next year?
I mean, yeah, there's always a chance. Now, the offer sheet game is very risky for the other team, especially because that's where, like you guys saw with Gordon Hayward, the Jazz can just match it, and the other team's left completely empty-handed. So I think, let's put out the hypothetical you hear the most about. Let's say the Lakers are willing to put a number significantly higher than 27.5 a year on the table for Walker Kessler. Is that a scenario where the Jazz and the Lakers can work out some sort of sign and trade? Can the Jazz? I think the Jazz could at least bluff and say, hey, if you put, I'm going to say it's 4 years. Let's say 4 years, 140. Let's just to throw out a number. The Jazz could bluff and say, hey, we'll just match that if you put it in an offer sheet. But if you give us X and Y or whatever the case may be, this pick, this player, whatever, then we can work something out. That's a possibility. It's risky pool for the Lakers for a variety of reasons. And again, restricted free agency is not something that's beneficial to players. That's why players hate it. That's why agents hate it. It's a tool for the team, and it's a tool that the Jazz are really using to negotiate, right? And the way the Jazz view this is they are trying to build a team that has a chance to contend in the Western Conference. They can't just be throwing money around. They have to negotiate well. They've got to draft well, they've got to trade well, and they've got to negotiate well. Because if we're being real, free agency is not a route that they're going to be able to do much with, other than add a complimentary piece here or there.
So based off of your knowledge of the situation, relationship with his reps or Walker specifically, I mean, again, I want to remind everybody, even though, and I like Sam Amick, friend of the show, and I think he's very good at what he does. A lot of people are leaning into Sam's reporting and talking about his story. You've been talking about this on this show for a lot longer than that. So I'm not exactly sure how to ask this. If there really is this chasm, this gap, and Walker appears to be frustrated with the situation himself. I mean, and we're going to get to the Darren Peterson stuff. The Angels take emotion out of everything. So sorry your feelings. Sorry your feelings are hurt, but you're our player. We have the right to bring you back. We can do it whether you like it or not. But when it comes to the potential frustration from the player himself, Does that come into play at all as it pertains to whether or not he is going to be back, happy, and willing to put in the work that he needs to put in?
You know, as you said, the Angels take emotion out of everything. Emotion, frustration, feelings, none of that's going to influence any of the decision-making by the Utah Jazz's front office. I think their bet is if they give Walker Kessler more money than any non-All-Star big has ever received in the history of the league, that the feelings will subside and that he will show up ready to work and ready to compete and ready to finally be a part of a team that has a real chance to win some games. I can't speak for Walker himself, but I think the bet from the Jazz is that he would have $140 million reason or 140 million reasons to show up and be a pro and be a productive starting big man for a team that hopes to be able to make the postseason.
Let me reduce this to one question, even though you just said you can't speak for Walker himself, and I'm not asking you to do that, but do you think Walker Kessler wants to play for the Utah Jazz?
I think Walker wants to play for the Utah Jazz for a lot more money than is being offered right now.
Okay. Well,
Listen, man,
go ahead.
There's going to be the leverage is that he wants out, right? That's the leverage. I'm just going to say this, and I won't be specific to this situation. There are countless examples that we could come up with of guys who had difficult negotiations, and then once the papers were signed, everything was just fine afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah, one angle to this is more than a few people. I mean, Bill Simmons is doubling down on this, and Bill, of course, maybe Boston years knows Danny. I have no idea. But Bill Simmons, others are doubling down on the Jazz interest in Cameron Boozer. Is there a straight line to draw from the Jazz potentially looking at Cameron at 2 and what their plans are for Walker? Does that make sense?
No, there's not.
Okay.
Because, listen, the Jazz, they have not decided who they're taking it to. Number one, they don't know which of the guys are going to be available, but they are going to end up with either A.J. Devanza, Darren Peterson, or Cameron Boozer. Cameron Boozer is not a center. Cameron Boozer is kind of a power point forward. Jaren Jackson Jr. is not a full-time center, at least. Now, could Jaren Jackson Jr. play some 5 with a strong rebounding power forward like Cameron Boozer? Yes, he could. Would that actually be a pretty intriguing pairing because they would enhance each other's strengths and mitigate each other's weaknesses? Absolutely. But none of that impacts that the Jazz want to keep Walker Kessler. He is absolutely, positively still very much an important part of their plan moving forward.
So that does bring us to yet another draft cycle and yet another story about a player potentially not being interested in living in Salt Lake and playing for the Jazz. And I cannot corroborate any of it. Shams reported that Darren Peterson will work out for Washington. He will not work out for Utah. I will bring back the angle on the Angels about Ace Bailey a year ago. Basically, his agent, Ace, really never said this himself, at least that I heard. His agent trying to route Ace to Washington at 6. And Austin Ainge said, I don't give a rip. We think you're the best player at 5. And so Ace Bailey, welcome to the Utah Jazz. And my instinct tells me that if Austin and Danny think Darren is the guy at 2 and AJ goes 1, Darren Peterson, welcome to Utah. But I'll give you the space to kind of unpack your understanding of where we're at with the Darren Peterson dynamic of him working out for Washington but not Utah.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question that if the Jazz feel like Darren Peterson is the best player on the board, that's who they're taking, whether he comes to work out for them or not. And you brought up the Ace Bailey situation. And I have not heard a lot of, he doesn't want to be in Utah stuff about Darren Peterson, just that he wants to be the number 1 pick. He's not working out for anybody other than Washington. With Ace, it was very specific. He does not want to be in Utah. Let me ask you, you were in Salt Lake City all season long. Ace Bailey was there all season long. Was there any trouble with him?
No, not at all. No, and he got rid of the agent. So, no. Like I said, I never heard Ace say anything.
No, Ace showed up, and it was a little murky, but once he showed up, he went to work. He's raw. He's got a lot of room to grow, but they're very happy that they drafted him. Everything I know about Ace is that he enjoyed being a part of the Jazz in Salt Lake City. They're excited about him moving forward. And again, I don't know if their decision, if it comes to this, will be Darren Peterson over Cameron Boozer. I don't know that. I don't think they know that yet. They've got a week to continue to evaluate, to discuss, to debate internally, all those sort of things. What I do know is Darren Peterson's decision not to work out for the Jazz will have no impact on the Jazz's decision of who to take at that spot. And it is an interesting situation. He's represented by the same agency that represents Keontae George. Keontae George is extension eligible right now. I think you look at the Jazz's history and what's playing out with Walker Kessler, I would wager against Keontae George getting an extension before the season, right? Now, what would that mean? That would mean he'd be a restricted free agent next season. If you're the agent, maybe you express some concerns about, hey, both my clients want the ball in their hands, et cetera, et cetera. Not sure about the fit. I think the agent might feel a lot better about the fit if Keontae was getting a max or near max extension, no questions asked. But, the Jazz, super excited about Keontae's future. But I think before you give, especially under this CBA with all the apron rules, et cetera, I think before you give a max or near max extension, you want to be absolutely positive and not just really encouraged by one breakout season.
So the other potential angle with Darren Peterson only working out for Washington is the potential belief that he will be the number one pick. And, of course, that leaves A.J. DeBonsa on the board for the Jazz at 2, which I think for a lot of people around here would be a dream scenario. Any intel in that direction?
Listen, A.J. DeBonsa, I firmly believe will be one of the top 2 picks. And if he's there, I think the Jazz take him and do a couple backflips. I mean, I don't have, Washington does not tip their hand as far as who they're picking. Clearly Peterson thinks he's going to go number 1. I think DeBance is pretty optimistic he's going to go number 1. One of them will be right. And then the Jazz will have a decision to make.
Okay. Well, there you go. Yeah, some interesting stuff. It seems like every year, look, it's hard to know how much of this is real and how much of this is a social media algorithm manufactured storyline about guys not wanting to play here. Because it seems like every draft cycle we deal with this.
What I would say is it's not a social media algorithm-driven thing as much as, listen, man, agents only have so much leverage when it comes to the draft and when it comes to restricted free agency. And, people aren't making stuff up is what I would tell you. Reporters aren't making things up. This information is coming from agents or from camps, wherever you want to call it, that sort of a thing. And it's kind of the Jazz's policy to be unbothered by all that discussion, all that, call it noise, whatever you want to call it. And it's Danny Ainge and Austin Ainge and, managing up to Ryan Smith, they're looking at this, and I think their viewpoint is, hey, people can say what they want, but the situation is what it is with the draft. We get to make the pick. Players don't get to decide where they're going. And with restricted free agency, those rules being what they are, really being kind of a tool for the teams and against the players. And, their policy is they're going to be unbothered by all of that discussion and do what they feel is in the best interest of their franchise.
Yeah, I do agree with that as it pertains to the Ainges. My gut tells me that it does bother Ryan a little bit because he's been very clear on his intention to change the way people view Utah, to change the way people view the Jazz. And I just wonder, with conversations you have around the league, how the Jazz are viewed. I mean, Ryan has shown that he'll write luxury tax checks. He's building a new facility. The Angels have a track record of being championship-winning roster constructors, and they have a really bright young head coach in Will Hardy. I don't necessarily understand why agents wouldn't want their players to come here based off the current infrastructure.
Well, But you said you think Ryan Smith can be swayed by it.
I think he cares about the way Utah and the Jazz are viewed around the NBA. That's my gut.
Right. And so if you're an agent and you believe that Ryan Smith cares about that kind of perception, then is that not a weapon for you?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I just wonder, in conversations you have, how they're viewed.
Well, again, I don't hear guys who go to Utah complaining about Utah. Now, do I ever think Salt Lake City is going to be some supreme free agency destination? No, I don't. That's just the reality of the situation. But guys who go there feel like, by and large at least, feel like they're treated very well by the franchise. And again, I don't think that the guys making the basketball decisions for the Jazz are bothered by what they perceive to be, a weapon that's being attempted to be used against them. And it's the job of Danny Ainge and Boston Ainge to manage up if they feel like Ryan Smith might be swayed by those things. He hired those guys because he believes in them and he trusts them. And so, just as they didn't allow any of the stuff, swirling around Ace Bailey to influence their decision, I just don't think that's going to happen again. I'm very confident that's not going to happen again in this transaction cycle this offseason.
No, I agree. And look, with what we just saw with the New York Knicks, the fact of the matter is you don't have to sign one of the top free agents, at least on paper. I mean, nobody. You watched Jalen in Dallas. You had a front row seat for that. And the only lottery pick on the Knicks roster is Karl Anthony Towns. So if the Jazz are unable to land one of the bigger fishes in free agency, the Knicks may have just given them a model loosely about something you can follow to win something special at some point.
Yeah, Bridges was a lottery pick, but I hear your point. The only single-digit lottery pick certainly is Towns. And look, the Knicks have done a phenomenal job of, one, just managing their assets, moving around cap space to be able to get Brunson, making trades to get the rest of that starting five, and putting together pieces that fit together. Two, they've done a great job of player development. And, that's something that the Jazz are really going to have to lean into and rely on. And I think, for example, Keontae George has benefited from the Jazz's player development program. And if he continues to benefit from their player development program, I think we'll be talking next summer about him as a guy who's on a near max deal as a restricted free agent. But yeah, look, Oklahoma City is a small market example. Now they got gifted the Paul George trade or pounced on the leverage that they had there. But it's another example of a team that is that's not ever going to be a free agency destination in Oklahoma City. But they patiently, but pretty quickly put together a championship team. So it can be done in small markets. It can be done without top of the draft type of talent. Now the Jazz are in a case where they do get a swing at a top of the draft type of talent here in a week.
Do you feel like Walker's benefited from the Jazz developmental program?
I think that he has. I think that there's a lot of development left to be had for him. And I think it's unfortunate that, with his shoulder surgery this year, it was basically a lost year for him.
All right, before I set you loose, the Wembanyama side of this, obviously is a guy that's watched him and covered him closely. The Knicks capitalize on this window. It's a 4-year process where Jalen has turned into a player that I don't know anybody thought he would turn into, including him and including his father. But yep. What are the lessons learned from, obviously, the next generation special player, Victor Wembanyama? What does it look like next year?
The lessons learned for him?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, a lot. And look, this was a case where the Knicks were ready to win a championship because they knew how to win. They knew how to pull out close games and with the highest stakes. And the Spurs just weren't ready yet. I think the Spurs are going to be a multiple championship team. But for Wemby in particular, I think some of his immaturity came through during this series and during the playoffs. I think his lack of a go-to move or go-to moves really made things tough for him in this last series. And, I just think, like, the lack of seasoning finally caught up to the Spurs in the finals. I would have figured it would have caught up to them against the defending champions. Now, there obviously were some key injuries in that series that impacted Oklahoma City. But there's a reason that you've never seen a team in its first playoff run together win a championship, especially a team as young as the Spurs. And so he needed some seasoning. He needed to take his lumps. He did that. And like I said, I think that the Spurs are arguably the favorites going into the next season. Wemby is definitely going to be the MVP favorite.
Tim, good stuff. Good stuff all playoff long, man. It was fun watching your work. Be safe. And by the way, happy Father's Day coming up on Sunday. Thanks for the time.
You too, brother. Hey, I'm looking forward to Salt Lake City Summer League.
Yeah, we got a spot for you in studio for an entire 4-hour show. We're excited for that.
Okay. Call my agent, which is myself, and we can negotiate. See you, pal.
All right. The great Tim McMahon will be in town for Summer League. We'll have him in studio. Summer League at the Huntsman Center this year as they're renovating the Delta Center. Want to let you know, speaking of Father's Day, dads deserve a day at Lagoon, too. This Father's Day, ESPN 700 is giving you the chance to win a 4-pack of passes to Lagoon, the place where thrills, family fun, and great memories come together. Whether dad's a roller coaster junkie or just wants a day with the family, we've got you covered. Listen all week around noon to try and score 4 passes to Lagoon. It's Father's Day fun from Lagoon and Utah's home for sports, ESPN 700. All right, we'll catch a break. 1 hour down, 3 hours to go. Chris Kamrani, live in studio, coming up next on ESPN 700. How about the captain, Kyle Beckerman? KB5 joins us in about 90 minutes from right now. Dave Fox will be the bridge between Chris Camerani and Kyle. I don't know what we're going to do with Dave today. But Chris Camerani, live in studio. We just saw 2 world-class goals. Kylian Mbappe puts France up 3-1 over Senegal. The dying moments of the match, 8 minutes of stoppage time. World Cup, man, it's really cool. Just is.
It gives us a reason to not do anything.
Yeah.
And anytime we have that opportunity presented to ourselves, you know I'm a proponent for it.
You're preaching my language as well. And you know what's interesting? My favorite thing that I've learned about this tournament, and I was completely uneducated on it because I never watched it until 2006, is even if there's a game between 2 countries that aren't necessarily really good or really popular, you tune in and you learn all these stories about these players. We were talking about Iran, which obviously is a country that you know well and a team that you know well, and they were able to grab a 2-2 result last night despite all of the things that these players and coaches have to go through just to make it to the game and then back to their training session. You know, it's pretty wild.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about what Iran has to go through with being based in Tijuana because the State Department wouldn't allow them to be based here. The State Department also accused the Iranian National Soccer Federation of trying to sneak terrorists in with their team. So, yeah, it's awesome game last night. The stakes, I mean, that's what is the thing, Spence. Like, the stakes are high. And anytime the stakes are high through the screen, you'll feel it at home. Even, you know, Porter and I were talking in the producer's room before I came on, like, Cape Verde, man. Like, all I knew about Cape Verde was, like, my college roommate served his mission there, like, 23 years ago, and he loved it. And I was like, oh, Cape Verde, what's up? Like, little fun island off of Portugal. Holding Spain, dude. 0-0.
Yep.
The goalkeeper, like, gained, like 4 million Instagram followers in, like, a matter of a couple hours.
Yeah.
It's fun. And if you don't like fun, then I guess don't watch.
Yeah, look, again, I always kind of approach this through the prism of you can learn to appreciate this sport if you actually care to take the time. Now, if you don't want to, if it's not your thing, if you're like a communist sport, all right, whatever, okay, it's fine. But I've shared this anecdote with you before. I had never, like I said, I'd never watched the World Cup until 2006. We bring RSL in 2004, and everybody's talking about, okay, World Cup, you know, you got to check it out. I don't recall which match I watched, but I turned on the TV. They're playing the national anthem in the background, and these players are screaming their hearts out, singing their national anthem, and tears are running down their face. And I'm like, this is worth trying to understand, like why this is so important to so many players and soccer fans.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, it's the most played sport, the most beloved sport, and all of these players are the best of the best that each country has to provide.
Yeah.
So it's like we talk about like the 1% of college football players who go pro. Like, think about the percentage of some of these players who grow up playing in these soccer-crazed countries that get to play for their national team.
Yeah.
Like, we were talking about it before we came on, like, France insanely deep. France's like B or C team is probably like miles better than some of these other teams that are at the World Cup, and these players couldn't even make that roster. Yeah. That's how insane it is.
Let me set myself up as the ugly American that doesn't know anything about soccer with a question that I hear often. If our best athletes played No. This I'm dead serious because I want you to walk us through why this is a flawed approach. Admittedly, an approach that I've taken in the past. The whole thing is like LeBron is a goalie and, you know, Tyreek Hill is a winger. So if I say to you, if our best athletes played soccer from a very young age, we would dominate the sport. You say to me what? See, I knew it.
It's
Love it.
Stumped.
This makes me so happy.
If we're operating under the assumption that LeBron James and Tyreek Hill and Steph Curry started playing organized soccer and only organized soccer from the time they were 3 years old until they were 15 or 16 and played in hyper-competitive, you know, academies, that's the one thing why it doesn't work is that, like, I guess we would have to send all these kids overseas because over here we don't allow that to happen. Like, LeBron would have had to been like noticed by Liverpool's like academy and be like, "Hey, I forgot his mom's name, but just be like, hey, like, we really think LeBron should move to Liverpool as a 9-year-old.
Gloria.
Yeah, Gloria, we really think your son has potential to be a striker at the next level. It's fun to talk about, but it's also like, why do we want to make it that?
Yeah.
Soccer to me is the coolest because it's like, you do have some amazing physical athletes, but at the same time, it's like, no, dude, like some of these guys are shorter than you and I, and they're still amazing athletes. They can run and run and run. The footwork, I mean, we could go on and on. Just enjoy it, man. Come on.
Well, you just referenced something that I think puts the biggest hole in this argument, and that is the greatest soccer player of all time looks like he could be your little brother. It's not like Lionel Messi is some athletic specimen. Mm-hmm. Like if you knew nothing about soccer and Lionel, you're at Harmon's grabbing some dinner for the night, doing your grocery shopping. Salad bar, shout out.
I know you do. I know. Okay.
Love the Harmon's salad bar.
I'm not knocking it.
Preaching to the choir.
Let's go.
I'm getting some beans, some garbanzo beans,
protein.
some protein, maybe chicken for the night. And you look over and Lionel Messi is grabbing some hot wings.
Some cheddar broccoli soup.
Oh, stop it. Why do you know my favorite things from Harmon's? No part of you would be like, that guy is the greatest soccer player that's ever played the game.
But physically, he might not look it, but he is.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, like we have been so predisposed in this country to think like best athletes, Walter Payton, LeBron James, so on and so forth. Like, no, man, like you can be. Do you know how hard it is to sprint and stop for 8 miles like 3 times a week?
Never experienced that myself.
I haven't either.
Yeah, nor do I want to.
No,
Let's
sounds
be clear.
Awful.
It does.
Like I'm huffing and puffing in indoor. Like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
Like appreciate it for what it is. It is the apex of soccer talent all around the world in 3 different countries.
Well, and raw athleticism does not necessarily translate to being a skilled soccer player.
I mean, very rarely. Like that, you literally don't want that.
Yeah, and that's kind of the point every time, because I used to say that, like, well, look at Landon Donovan. He's not an athlete, right? Like if Dwayne Wade wanted to be a midfielder, but raw athleticism does not necessarily translate to the skill that you need to play this game at the highest of levels. At least that's always been kind of my takeaway.
Mac McClung is a winger.
Mac McClung, yeah, dunk champion. Good Mac McClung pull. All right, so give me your favorite, and if it's Iran, it's Iran. Give me your favorite kind of non-U.S. men's national team storyline right now.
I think it's got to be Cape Verde getting a point. Like, I mean, you talked about it last week on the show. I think Spain is maybe the top-ranked team coming into the tournament.
France is the favorite, but Spain's right behind them.
Yeah, just an insane amount of talent, and you're talking about a country that's making its World Cup debut, may never make it again, potentially will with the expansion of the field, but getting a point, I think having like the most remedial amount of possession. I think they had like 12 to 13% possession, which is awesome, but it's also like if you're watching that game, you're like, come on, dude, can you do it? Can they hold on? These guys are throwing their bodies around in the box to try to like deflect shots, and weirdly, I don't know if you watched the end of it, but Cape Verde had a wide open header on a corner kick where I was like, dude, could you have imagined? And that's it. Like, it is everything that people want to be able to be moved by. And I mean, and we have more games to come. I mean, Iraq plays Erling Haaland at 4:00. They haven't played in a World Cup since 1986.
Norway, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
And Curacao, the smallest team to ever make it, got a goal against Germany, even though Germany scored a touchdown. Like, stuff like this is cool.
Yeah, no,
matters.
I agree. I was trying to find. I don't know if you read it because it was on Twitter, which I know is not your favorite spot. But somebody wrote a piece on Pochettino talking about how the Americans award losing and discussed promotion relegation. I'll find it during the break so I can credit the person who actually wrote it. It was a Substack. Talked about like, hey, if you're in MLS and you play for a team that over the course of a month loses all of their games, it doesn't matter because there's no promotion, there's no relegation. So you are hardwired to just accept losing in a way. I mean, that was kind of
on the MLS Super Draft, Spence. Is this your way to
Tony Beltran, Emeka Eneli, Sergi Solins,
hey.
okay?
Hey.
Pro Super Draft over here. But his whole premise was, in other countries, soccer players learn how to play on dirt fields and bare feet, stepping on broken glass, and they're raised in favelas and they're raised in extreme poverty. Like, if you go back and read about the journeys of some of these players, and I'm approaching this through the prism of a parent who had a son who played club soccer, where if you wanted him to play high school, you had to start paying $4 or $5 when he was 12, 13, 14 years old for him to play on manicured fields and take these trips, right? So he was juxtaposing internationally how most of these players have to fight tooth and nail just to A, get a game, and then B, learn how to play, as opposed to what we do here, where it's become kind of a country club sport, where if you don't have the money to pay for your kid to play, he's left out. Do you think there's anything there as far as why we seem to be so far behind the top shelf teams in the world?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, we have a population of over 330 million people. We are one of probably the biggest population-sized country participating in this World Cup. Why are we still having, here's my anecdote. I'm watching the game on Friday with some friends and some friends of friends who don't know soccer all that well, and I explained to them the Berhalter Reina stuff from the last World Cup.
Yeah.
And I was like, and you know what's funny? And obviously, because I'm a writer, I had to leave the kicker and both of their kids are on this team.
Yeah.
And hey, Gio scored an amazing goal. Yeah, I mean, he shut up his haters, momentarily. But we aren't getting those players who do have the ability and do have the flair and do have the love for it, because you are getting priced out at such an early age that you aren't able to play on those traveling club teams. You aren't able to showcase your talent to, the U.S. men's national team youth system. Whereas everywhere else in the world, it's like not only are they looking within their own country, they're looking everywhere else to get from a club soccer perspective. The story that La Masia at Barcelona found Messi when he was 9 years old in Argentina. It's like, we got to get this guy to Barcelona.
Yeah.
That's just the way it works.
So it was an interview. So the Substack I read, and I'll find it because the guy did a really good job, was based off an interview that Pochettino did with, I believe it's El País, P-A-I-S.
El País.
El País. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Arguing that the absence of relegation in MLS changes how players understand pressure. He said, quote, we told them, guys, playing soccer is one thing, competing is another. They're two completely different sports. If you start in MLS and you haven't won a game in 3 months and you're at the bottom, what's the consequence if there's no promotion or relegation, no international competition? American sports reward losers. But soccer is different. If you reward those who don't win, if you don't have goals, you don't fight. If I lose, what happens? Nothing. They just fire the coach. Also, the American player is disciplined, but with a sense of complacency that isn't good in soccer. It took us 1.5 years to change that mentality.
He's not wrong.
Yeah.
And honestly, if you are just an outsider, he basically summed up the previous era of the U.S. men's national team.
Right.
And he has his flaws. Every coach does. But one thing that he drives home, and I think what people don't understand, is not only is there a drive to be competitive at a young age, you're competing with other players who play your exact same position at a young age.
Yeah.
There's going to be a group of U12 left backs at some of these academies,
Leo,
where it's like, okay, let's see how they do from year to year, and the pecking order will change, and some will improve, and some will not, and some will drop off the face of the earth, because that's the way it goes. Not only are we as a country not able to get, the working class player into these systems, we aren't teaching our kids, one of the several things that we have a huge problem with in this country at the youth soccer level is we're still being taught to win by any means necessary.
Yeah.
It's not learn to play the game, learn what you need to do, learn tactics. There are so many places and people that I've talked to, even during my time during the RSL beat, where I learned all this stuff, where it's when we played youth soccer, nobody cared if they lost. You just had to learn how to play. Whether you were placed in a position, you had to learn how to perfect that position. You needed to learn what to do in certain situations. Whereas here, it's just all right, Jenny's our fastest player. Let's get her up as the forward and see if she can run by the other team.
Yeah.
That's the way it works.
Yeah, and it's interesting, and Beckerman's going to join us later, and I'll just tease that.
You got the captain.
I did, okay. And I'll just tease that we recorded a little bit earlier because it's the new podcast that we have for KUTV, and Kyle talks about he was kind of one of the early players when Bradenton was created.
Yeah.
So it was Landon Donovan, it was Gucciano Aweyu, it was DeMarcus Beasley, it was kind of that group, and Kyle was part of it. And he talked about how for the first time American players were asked to kind of win their spot every weekend in tournaments, and he would come home and wait for a call, and then you have to go to this tournament, then they'd go to Europe, and then the teams they were playing against in Europe, all of the players after the game would go over to Manchester United and Juventus, and Kyle would just go back and play high school soccer. And he's like, in order for us to compete for them at some point, we realized that all of us as young soccer players needed better training. All due respect to high school coaches, but if you go to Spain and you play in a youth tournament against 16 and 17-year-olds, and after the tournament is over, they go to Real Madrid and they go to Barcelona, and Kyle's back in Maryland playing high school soccer, and he's supposed to be your best holding mid, that's a problem.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's I want to believe that we're getting better at this, but I still think it is frustrating. It's interesting you brought this up because this was a talking point when I was watching the game on Friday. It's like, if you look at this group, it is a cool group. And I'm on a tangent here. Like, Jurgen Klinsmann gets a ton of credit for being able to go out and find a lot of dual national players during his time. That he kind of paved the pathway for players who traditionally were not on the U.S. men's national team radar to come in and play. That's another component of this. Like Flo Balogun is born to Nigerian parents in Brooklyn, but grew up in England and could have played for any of those national teams, chose to play for the U.S. Malik Tillman, Serginho Dest, the list goes on, and these are starters in Poch's 11. But for us here, for some of these players that have come up, like, honestly, like, if you look at it, like, it's Ricardo Pepi kind of basically represents that group that needs to be tapped into. And I was lucky enough to write a story about it. That was eons ago, but like 5 years ago. But it was like, America still has so far to go in terms of tapping into a market that would help them by leaps and bounds. And I just don't know if the moneymaker that is club soccer, that is youth soccer in America, is ever going to be willing to let go of its stranglehold.
I can promise you that they will not be able to do that, and I will leave most of it off air, but I had zero clue about that ecosystem. I had no idea about it until we brought RSL here. And then we were meeting with some of the coaches of youth soccer around the community, and of course they saw a pro club as an opportunity for their club to partner with in order to simply make more money. I mean, that's really what it came down to. And the infighting, the backbiting, the petty, childlike behavior of grown men trying to consummate a deal with us. And we're kind of like new to the whole thing. Like, wait a second, this is really how it works?
Knives were out.
Yeah, we hired one guy, I'll leave his name off air, to sell tickets. Turned out to be an atrocious human. And it was a back and forth over the years where, and this is usually how it goes in youth sports, the problems are the parents. The kids are there to have fun. The kids are like, I just want to go play soccer with my friends. It's when the politics get involved and the parents see a potential cash grab with a young player, and especially if it's their son. I mean, this kid who's suing RSL right now, he's upset, and, we'll let the legal course play out, but this is being driven by a parent who saw his child as a cash cow. And I don't know how you change. I mean, Pochettino talked about changing the mentality with this group. That's a far cry from changing the culture of when it all starts.
Well, it's the power structure. Like, ultimately, these international established soccer federations that have been, kind of part of the powers that be, so to speak, for a long time, they're the top of the pyramid, and they get to call the shots. The clubs are the same thing. Like, the clubs aren't going to listen to. Can you imagine how many crazy soccer parents like Barcelona, Liverpool, Man U have dealt with over? Like, it's not specific to the U.S. They just don't deal with it. They're just like, your kid can come play with us, or he can be turfed, and you guys can go find something somewhere else.
Right.
But if the reason why I have a sliver of optimism is you look at even locally in the last 5 years, we're starting to see some players come up. Xavier Gozo is a great example of that. Xavier Gozo, I think, played for La Roca, one of the best club teams in the state before he joined the RSL Academy. He's a kid from West Valley, racial kid. Like, that's what we need. We need more of that in order for us to take that next step.
So one more thing here. I found the Substack, and we're going to give this guy a shout out, okay? On social media,
come on, let's do it.
It's at Claw for That Inch. He's writing a bunch of stuff on the World Cup, and this was sent to me. And you can get it, by the way, on his Twitter. You don't need to go to a Substack, but the headline is "The Hard Ass We Needed," and it's about Pochettino and his approach with Gio Reyna, juxtaposed to how Greg Berhalter handled Gio. And it underscores the dynamic we're talking about. And during that weird window, maybe you can help me out here, when Greg lost the job, and then they were like, we're going to re-interview people, and then they hired him back. Am I understanding that correctly? Isn't that what happened?
Yep.
I had Jason on the show, and it was before they hired Greg back. And full disclosure, Jason and Greg are friends. Jason coached in the national team ecosystem
with Greg.
And I asked Jay, should they bring Greg back? And he said, yes, they should. And if they don't, they should hire another American. United States soccer should be coached by someone from the United States. And I got to say, I just fundamentally disagree. And I'm going to tell you why. And, this isn't a vacuum as it pertains to comparing Pochettino and Berhalter. But what this outlines is Qatar 2022. Gio plays 52 minutes across the entire World Cup. Berhalter tells him before the opener his role is going to be very limited. And then Gio kind of sulks, right? And that, of course, is on him. And then Greg is asked about the dynamic of the locker room and said, there's one player who is clearly not meeting expectations on and off the field. And now we know he was talking about Gio. And then you know what happened, okay? So two mothers who had been best friends for 30 years. Then a phone call came, the incident in 1992 between Greg and his wife. And then the word blackmail starts to go around. Claudio Reyna, Gio's father, contacts the sporting director, texts him during matches, and is trying to understand what's going on here. He claims his son is being bullied, essentially by Greg. These two families were close. The two mothers were like best friends. So ultimately, we all know how it all went down, okay? So Gio was kind of this casualty of the politics of the whole thing and a little bit of his own immaturity, as pointed out by the writer. He claims the system turned on him, okay? So then he goes into the way Pochettino has handled Gio, essentially taking the exact opposite approach where he's expecting Gio to work his ass off.
Prove it to me.
Exactly. But calls him a very special talent, named him to the World Cup roster, even though he was getting zero time in Germany, and simply has installed kind of a two-tiered approach, which is, I believe in you, go work for me. And Gio has responded. So you had the American approach, which turned into a horrible version of a reality television show. And you have this Argentinian who knows how to get this done that has found this approach, at least for now, that seems to have worked much better than Greg's ever did.
Come on, you Spurs.
Yes, thank you. We stayed up, baby.
I want to believe that this is just a singular flashpoint because of just how unique U.S. soccer still is. It's still in its infancy stage, Spence. If we're talking about its climb to trying to be relevant on the world stage, you're still having players who were part of that climb who are still in the coaching realm, in the technical director realm in MLS, in the GM realm in MLS, in power structure within U.S. soccer itself. All of these people know each other because they played a role in it. Eventually, I want to believe that will change with more experience, more diversity, and eventually you won't have just the same group of 15 to 20 people who played with each other off and on for the last 20 years. Be like, okay, this guy knows it. We'll have this guy. We'll have Brian McBride. We'll have Oguchi Onyewu. We'll have Greg Burrow. All of this stuff is still going on. And I'm not to say that they're not qualified, but eventually we're going to have to get away from that. So I think all of this is just a byproduct of this awkward stage that we're in. And hopefully, Jurgen Klinsmann, everybody, after Bob Bradley, after Bruce Arena, everybody wanted a European or international flair manager who could bring us together and play a style of play that we could, be able to go toe to toe with the powers that be. I mean, here we are. The last time Jurgen Klinsmann coached at a World Cup was 2014. That's 12 years ago. And how much has changed? Quite a bit, but also not a lot.
Yeah. Well, and to your point, they did try something different because from my prism, if we are going to actually compete on the world stage and not just get out of group and maybe win a knockout round, I actually think it probably needs to come from an international coach that understands how to do this. And Jurgen, I guess, essentially was buried when he said the U.S. will never win a World Cup. But if you listen to people that really know the game, they're like, yeah, no kidding, obviously. And American fans were so upset. And, of course,
don't tell us what we can't do, Spence.
Exactly. Of course, the decision to not start Kyle Beckerman against Belgium.
Death knell.
Yeah, it is. All right, last thing. Let's actually talk about the other thing that this piece points out. After Gia's goal, which was just ridiculous, Pochettino sprinted out on the field to congratulate him. It's kind of this cool moment. Because, look, I think it's pretty undeniable. Gio's got a ton of talent.
Before the last World Cup, I talked to people within the U.S. soccer realm because that's, I was helping report on that even though I was from home.
Yeah.
And several people were like, he has the ability to be as good as Christian.
Yeah.
He just is not.
Yeah. But give me your thoughts on what I perceive to be a pretty flawless first performance against Paraguay, 4-1. Pulisic subbed off at half, which changed it because he was doing whatever he wanted in the first half.
They didn't look the same in the second.
No, they didn't. But did that match at all change what you think they can do?
Oh, absolutely. That first half was the best first half I've seen from the U.S. men's national team in my lifetime.
Yeah.
On a stage that matters. Like the only one that could maybe come to mind is the Confederations Cup of 2009 when Clint Dempsey and those guys went toe-to-toe with Brazil.
Good memory.
But and I think that game ended in a draw. But, Paraguay's obviously not the level of Brazil, but the way they finally were able to execute the style of play that Poch wanted them to do.
Yeah.
And that is just like empty the tank, like bust ass, and get after him.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. You just have to be able to have the dogs to do it.
Yeah.
You have to be able to be the type of people that can press. You have to have your best players be willing to sprint as much as the guys who are like on emergency defense. And that's what they did, and that's why it works. It's not revolutionary, but if you have the capability to do it, you can see what happened. I mean, Paraguay couldn't connect a pass in the first half. I'm still worried about the back. Like I said on the show, I don't know if this team can ever shut anybody out because the fluidity is working toward, attacking the opposition ad nauseum. But oftentimes, if they're caught out of position, how many of those guys who have been, pressing to the front can get back and help them? Australia. I mean, listen, I was wrong. I was like, I don't think Australia. I think Australia's the worst team in the group. They proved me wrong.
Yeah,
they beat Turkey 2-0. So, flawless first half. Pulisic, I guess, is day to day with the calf thing. He's been training on his own. They play Friday again, I believe. So, the calf thing's tricky. Don't like everyone. I think Tyler Adams said Christian would be fine. But if he isn't 100%, does the U.S. have the type of plug-and-play player to be able to replicate what he can do? I don't think so, especially when he's going the way he was going in the first half.
Can they afford to rest him against Australia and rely on the Turkey match to get through?
My guess is if he's not 100%, he'll be a sub in the second half, and they can see how they do against Australia. But it is a question mark. Like it's two little blemishes: the Paraguay goal and Christian's injury.
Yeah.
Because if he's not 100%, no matter how threatening they might be without him, they just weren't the same team.
Did you feel like you needed to text me apology when Lukaku scored the goal?
I text you a Lukaku GIF as soon as he scored.
But maybe like, hey, you were right all along type thing?
He scored like 30 seconds into coming into the match, right?
No, I didn't know that.
He came on, scored right away.
Last thing, it has been such a joy to watch Thierry Henry and Zlatan Ibrahimovic just look at Alexi Lalas sideways. Like every time he says anything, they cannot.
You got beef with Alexi too?
What
is it with this sports media
I just think he's a clown. I'm not tweeting at him. I just think he's a clown. I
don't really pay attention to what he says. Once upon a time, I thought Alexi was, good and informative. I'm always going to hold the 2014 World Cup to a gold standard from a production standpoint.
I agree.
Because
yeah.
ESPN had the rights. They, had this amazing set on Copacabana Beach, and they had, murderer's row of talent and analysts. Obviously, things have changed in the last 12 years.
Yes, they have.
People's mindsets, affiliations tend to have swayed in a certain direction publicly. So,
Indeed.
Thierry's the GOAT. I mean, the memes are just off the charts.
And the 2014 cycle had the best World Cup video game. Do you remember that? The FIFA World Cup version?
Yeah.
So good.
And easily the best men's national team jerseys of all time, the popsicle jerseys.
Yes, absolutely.
The blue, red, and white.
Indeed. All right, we will catch a quick break. Coming up next, Mark Harlan joined the program yesterday. Had some interesting things to say about the current state of Utah athletics. We'll do some college football. Chris, Dave Fox, Kyle Beckerman, that's your 4 o'clock hour. Then we'll get into the live 5 o'clock hour, and we will say goodnight at 6 o'clock live right here on ESPN 700. 90s hip hop. I'll go through the Dave thing.
Lilith Fair.
Come
Come on, let's go.
I sent you that
You did?
playlist.
It's saved.
Yeah, for about a month, only 90s female pop artists. Last week, it's been soundtracks, like instrumental soundtracks. And you brought
Not
a little.
like Garden State, which is
It's phenomenal. But no, like Hans Zimmer,
Sure.
John Williams, and apparently Trent Reznor, who's awesome at this randomly.
yeah, an elite career transition. I think for the uninitiated, Trent Reznor is the lead singer of Nine Inch Nails.
Look it up.
And he has partnered with David Fincher and kind of been able to like really do excel in this realm where I admittedly never thought him excelling in. And I'm a huge, like, Fincher's probably my favorite director. His movies are among my favorite movies. And the Social Network movie is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Agreed.
And the soundtrack is just so melodic, but also like weirdly intense, but it's not too loud. So when I'm looking to like lock in and write, I'll put on the Social Network soundtrack. So it is a little problematic that fake Mark Zuckerberg is staring at me. No offense to Jesse Eisenberg, who is the GOAT Zuckerberg, even though the eldest boy is having a go at it as in the sequel.
Oh, really?
Did you not know this?
No. When did this news come down?
The trailer got released last week.
Huh.
Yeah. Aaron Sorkin is doing a sequel to Social Network.
Okay.
Called The Social Dilemma.
Okay.
And the eldest boy. He's going to do great. But I think Eisenberg is just so Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
He basically told Sorkin, like, everybody just thinks of me as Zuckerberg now, so I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
So eldest boy will do great. But I'm with you, man. I do find instrumental soundtracks to be really emphatically part of the moment in my life.
Yeah.
Another one who's really good is Max Richter. He did all of The Leftovers, and he does a lot of more like classical instrumental stuff, like kind of like your Hans Zimmer's, and it's a little more temporary. But yeah, it's fun. I'm glad you're there because I'm there too.
Yeah, it's The Social Dilemma was the name of Tristan Harris's documentary.
Yeah, you'll have to watch the trailer after the show.
I'm pulling it up. Of course, our guy Jeremy Strong,
Yeah.
the eldest boy, is so good. No, it's funny. I didn't know who had done the Social Network soundtrack.
Yeah,
and then I don't know how I heard like, oh, it was Trent Reznor. I was like, no, what are you talking about? The dude from Nine Inch Nails is doing, and then he did the soundtrack for that Disney movie Soul.
Yeah.
And it's like gorgeous. It's very impressive that he's been able to basically translate that skill set. But let's talk a little college football, CK, before I set you loose for a Tuesday. Chris Camerani is live here in studio. Mark Harlan joined the show yesterday. I appreciated Mark's time and his willingness to answer some questions that I'm sure he wasn't thrilled that I asked him. But let's start with the Brendan Sorsby saga coming to an end. And as we talked to you about this last week, you were good to say, look, we don't know how this is going to go. I think most people believed after Jeffrey Kessler found the judge in Lubbock to grant the injunction, it was a foregone conclusion the kid was going to play. Interesting enough, it was the misstep of the Attorney General in Texas by threatening the Big 12 that allowed them to find the angle to file their own suit. And then the NCAA was able to file an additional suit looking to expedite the process. And it became pretty clear that whether it was Texas Tech or Brendan Sorsby and his people, they were just like, dude, whatever. We're not winning this. Go to the draft. So the Brendan Sorsby saga ends with Brendan Sorsby going to the NFL and Texas Tech without their starting quarterback.
First off, I got to give shout-outs. Can we give shout-outs on the show?
All the shout-outs.
Shout-outs to Justin Williams, who is one of our staff senior writers, who has covered this story like to the T for the last several months, ever since Sorsby has admitted to the gambling stuff. Like, that's my guy. Like, I recommend him getting on the show because he covered Sorsby at Cincinnati. So he was our back in the day when your guy was covering Utah. Justin was the Cincinnati beat writer, so he got to know Sorsby's camp pretty well. I think the heat got so hot that Texas Tech was like, enough is enough. Like, we're talking, it got volcanic hot. And I think as soon as, I'm going to do this right because it's very tricky, attorneys generals, multiple attorneys generals came out and said, this is not this aggression will not stand. and the Big 12 saying that they filed litigation against Texas Tech in court, the heat just got too hot. And ultimately, this was the just outcome, I think, for a lot of people who outside of Lubbock and Texas Tech fans. I think this is the consequences of something of this nature has to be felt. And Brendan Sorsby made a lot of money in NIL, like even at Cincinnati. So consequences matter, and you have to be able to be held to account for your actions. As I said on the show a couple weeks ago, I think people, from a football standpoint, I think people were really overestimating Brendan Sorsby, the player.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is a player who went 0-8 in November the last couple of years.
Or did he?
Mm-hmm.
Gambling implications? See, that's what it does to your brain.
You. That's not me. When I watched him play Utah and BYU, I was like, yeesh.
Yeah.
Like, and that wasn't even that good of a Utah defense last year.
Right.
Like, when people start throwing around first-round pick, then everyone believes, ooh, first-round pick. Oh, he's going to be Lamar Jackson or somebody who's even less proven, Arch Manning. No, he's a good college quarterback, but is he going to go to the supplemental draft and eventually take over the starting position in an NFL franchise? No, he's not.
Yeah.
He'll get a shot, as he should.
Yeah.
But this is the business you chose. This is the road you chose, and that's the route he has to take.
My guess is Joey McGuire is actually breathing a sigh of relief.
I mean, Joey for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have to. I'm sure there was pressure from the administration, the boosters, Mr. Campbell himself, and so many other power players in Lubbock that were like, we got to stand behind him. But I think the fact that they can press forward now and leave this behind is probably going to be better for the team as a whole. Because you imagine the circus around that team from a week-to-week basis.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, it would have been unfair to the rest of the players on the team. Honestly, it would have been unfair to the rest of the coaching staff, like the administrators, everyone in the athletic department. It would have been a traveling circus, and not and a bad kind.
Do you think it still will be at all? Because ultimately, the way I've viewed this, as the news broke last night, my first reaction was, this feels right. This feels like what should have happened. And then also, I'm cheering for Brendan Sorsby. I think humans are redeemable. I think people deserve pass back. Certainly, as a young person. And Urban Meyer, he has a podcast over at Sinclair. He gave a very, very eloquent kind of widespread take on the whole thing, just about, and you and I have talked about this, what a disservice we are doing to young people. And using Brendan Sorsby as an example, suddenly you have hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in your bank account. And then you have the ability on your phone to pull up sports books, and some of his bets were illegal. We have to be clear about this. I mean, he is dodging a federal crime as of now, which is an important part of this. But for the most part, legally placed wagers across the landscape of sport. And with the prediction markets now, you can bet on anything and everything. Look, I don't know what I would have done at the age of 18, 19, 20 if suddenly I was being paid hundreds of thousands of dollars and had the ability to bet on my phone. I may have gotten loose with it as well. So that does have to be brought into play here. I know most people want him hung in the public town square. We are doing this generation a disservice without their brains fully formed. If suddenly you have all this money and you have the ability to place bets and it's easy to do, and then the dopamine hits come. So I want him to move forward and try to find success in his life, but I also feel like this was the right resolution.
Yeah, I think those are both lanes to be driving in at the same time. I was thinking, though, 18, 19-year-old Spence, Kalshi, are you going like, what's the encore song going to be at Central Park? Like, is that like what you're doing? Or are you going like, okay, how many rebounds will Detlef Schrempf get? Probably
both those things. I'd parlay it. Let's see, 98, 99, I would probably go encore stay, parentheses, wasting time. And then Detlef Schrempf, 7.5 boards.
Yeah.
Puka shell necklace, bleach blonde hair, couple polos pop.
2?
Couple.
Oh.
Pictures exist. The pictures
You
exist.
better not hope I ever get my hands on those.
No, the pictures exist of one for sure, but there's one picture where there are 2 polos popped.
Was it hot?
Oh, dude, I pulled it off.
Yeah, I know.
Come on, I had a man bun, and you still have the long hair.
Well, I mean, hair's one thing. To have 2 polos on, it's gotta heat the regions up.
A little bit, but and the puka shell necklace, remember, and the bleach blonde hair. It was 1998. NSYNC was very big.
NSYNC was big. Hot Topic was big.
Hot Topic.
You could go to Zoomies. Go get your
Zoomies.
puka shells.
Yeah, no piercings.
No piercings.
No piercings. But look, like I said, I do think the administration at Texas Tech is probably relieved. The coaching staff at Texas Tech probably relieved. And now Will Hammond show, right? And if you look at their schedule, this is another reason where I was kind of like, why are you guys dying on this hill? You could probably start your redshirt freshman at quarterback and manage this schedule. I still think they're the favorite to win the Big 12.
Well, and not have to pay an estimated $3 to $4 million as they were going to pay Brendan. I mean, I think, is Hammond supposed to be ready for fall camp? I can't remember.
They're saying all the right things, and if not, I believe the understanding is they think he's ready for Houston, and that's all they need. It's Abilene Christian and Oregon State, their first 2 games. If he's ready for Houston, they're fine.
Poor Beavs. I mean, Will Hammond did not look like Joe Montana in some of the other games after he looked like Joe Montana here at Rice-Eccles Stadium, but the kid's a hell of a talent.
Yeah.
I think, like to your point, there are worst plan Bs to have from a quarterbacking standpoint. And they're still insanely deep on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, would they have been a more multifaceted team with Brendan Sorsby, who can, be a little bigger of a threat with his legs? Maybe, probably. But, come on, man. They still have the most talent in the Big 12.
Yeah, without him, they're still the number 1 ranked transfer portal class, even without him. And he was their star addition. He was the only 5-star, but they have 6 4-stars.
Yeah.
I know they lost a grip of talent on defense to the draft, but they refilled that cupboard. You referenced the money that they were going to pay Brendan Sorsby, and Cody Campbell came out and said, we're not going to try to get any of that back. You want to know why? Because Jeffrey Kessler has all of it. I
should have been a lawyer.
Can you imagine how much money that Brendan Sorsby just spent on his legal team, and it turned out that he didn't need to he could have just gone to the draft and pocketed probably $2 or $3 million. I'll have to text a lawyer friend of mine to guess how much Kessler made.
This came out after the draft, didn't it?
Well, I mean, I guess he still could have just planned on the supplemental draft when he realized all the heat was too hot.
Yeah, but
no use in looking back.
Well, there are so many interesting inflection points regarding this case. One of which is that a sports book basically was the ultimate original. Be like, this seems off that this guy is placing bets. We know who he is. You can't get away from Vegas, baby.
Yep. Really, we should say that it was the letter from Governor Cox that led to all of this, right?
Think so?
Nope. Moving on. Mark Harlan joins the show yesterday. Among the things, and by the way, if you missed it, go to the website. I really appreciated him being willing to answer questions that I know he didn't want me to ask. And I could see the look on his face. He wasn't thrilled with a few of them. But a few takeaways here. We're going to find out the apparel deal this week or next. Now, most people believe it's Adidas, not Under Armour. What do you think of that?
I think the Under Armour deal wasn't a popular one within the fan base.
It shouldn't have been. It was atrocious,
to say the least. And that was not Mark's deal. That was Dr. Hill's deal. If it's Adidas, great. I think if you're a fan of a team, you just want to be able to buy cool stuff for you and your family or your friends. We now live in this world where it's Wednesday uniform reveals to get these adults more excited for a game.
But the kids love it too.
Which I think is very odd. Give credit to Oregon for changing the game from that perspective.
And made it cool. I think kids like that stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, that still plays a role in recruiting. And
but
folks that I've talked, that is actually, plays a role in recruiting stuff.
It is odd, the 52-year-old men, they're like, we're wearing the crimson this weekend?
Bountiful Ute 22.
Forget it. Not even going. Calm down. You're cheering for laundry.
If it's Adidas, yeah, we'll see what happens. I think the eventuality of the Under Armour deal just befell the athletic department, and it needed to change.
Yeah. For the first time, Mark publicly spoke about the WIT stuff because it was publicly It was leaked, obviously, but not leaked. The document records were fulfilled, and suddenly the public became acutely aware of just how uncomfortable that was at the end. I'll let Mark speak for himself. Go back and listen to the interview, but paraphrasing, he said, we had a great relationship until the end. To that, you say what?
He probably had to say that publicly. I know that it was not a sudden, unceremonious ending. Like, there was tension within that building for a long time, and that's what happens in college athletics. Like, let's not be naive to think like this only happens here, but it did happen here, and it played a role in it.
Yeah.
And he even said it himself on your show yesterday. They did not want to go through the roundabout once again with Kyle.
Yeah.
The same way he's done it.
Yeah.
They made their decision. Mark said yesterday that he believed that there was a 4% chance that Kyle was going to get the Michigan job. A few days it was announced that he got the job on December 26th. Yeah. Crazier things have happened, I guess, but at the same time, what matters is what's written in ink.
Yeah.
And Utah is still paying Kyle Whittingham over $12 million to coach at Michigan for several years to come.
Yeah, Mark said he fielded 2 phone calls from Ward Manuel, the AD of Michigan, and the first phone call, Ward said about 4% chance. And then the second phone call was, yeah, we're hiring him.
So, and that's what we talked about a lot on the show in December and January, is Kyle was not the first choice. And,
May have not been the first 3 or 4 choices.
Correct. But the dominoes fell where they did. Kalen DeBoer in Alabama got into the CFP when a lot of people didn't think they deserved to. Did they win They won a game.
They won a game, and he got
smoked by Indiana.
And he got a contract.
Correct.
Right. Yeah.
The Jed Fish stuff. Utah played their hand, and if you are objective, you can say that the hand they played was the wrong one, but they still believe that the hand that they played is the one that's going to lead them to a future that they want to embrace, which they did.
And we'll see. That's the bottom line. I also asked him, and he handled this politically, as I thought that he would, and that's his right. Obviously, when you're in a position of power like Mark Harlan, there are certain things that you have to be very careful about.
Judicious.
I am of the belief that the instant that Mark and whoever else was involved put together their counter proposal to Kyle that included essentially Morgan's making the decisions, and, oh, by the way, we're going to send somebody up to the football facility and all these things. As soon as Kyle got that email, he's like, yep, all right, we're done here. So I asked Mark if he sent that counter with the knowledge that this was going to be it. And, again, he handled it the way that you would expect him to. I wouldn't expect him to say, yes, absolutely. But that's my belief, that they sent that counter knowing that a guy like Kyle is not going to agree to that.
It's a byproduct of being a public institution that what is it offered in writing can be accessed by the public. Not everything,
yeah,
but some things. And in this case, this was something that they maybe never thought would see the light of day in the manner that it did. And objectively speaking, I agree with you. I just think there's no way that you send that offer to
that guy,
a guy of his stature, the guy that's done everything for your university and for your athletic department, and expect him to say, oh, yeah, sure, that sounds good. But it seemed to be to your point, if there was a final nail, that was it.
Yeah, maybe this is an off-the-record question. The other thing I was curious about, the only job Kyle could not take was the BYU job.
He couldn't take any jobs within the state of Utah as a head coach or assistant coach.
Okay,
so it's not like he was going to go to
Weber,
Utah Tech and be the linebackers coach.
Breaking news, Kyle Whittingham to SUU.
But how stoked would Porter be if he was the linebackers head coach at Utah Tech?
Porter would leave the station to go work for Kyle at SUU, there's no doubt.
Not SUU. Come on, Porter.
Utah Tech.
There you go.
Okay. But I wondered whether or not and maybe this is the nature of a negotiation. Maybe they tried to say you also can't take a job in the Big Ten or whatever. I don't know. But there was no language in there to protect themselves from Kyle leaving for a bigger job and then taking a group of assistant coaches with him.
The butterfly effect that had to happen for this to take place is, I don't know if we'll ever see it again in college football, with how tight that window is in December between bowl games, the CFP, the changing of coaching staffs, coaches getting fired and hired. I don't think we'll ever see that again. again. Not at this level.
Yeah. All right. Before I set you loose, we now have the Otro Capital deal signed, sealed, and delivered. And one of the more interesting takeaways from my conversation with Mark yesterday, and the Salt Lake Tribune was able to grab a study that was done of the athletic department, and Mark seemed to be a little bit frustrated that it was public knowledge. But it's not just an infusion of cash into the university. They're also bringing on 3 operators. And when you look at the study that was done, most of the employees seem to be a little bit disenfranchised with leadership. Quote, a lot of money left on the table with comp tickets and such. And one of the quotes, and I actually asked Mark about this directly, we seem to fix problems, but we never fix systems. And if you read the study, and it's at sltrib.com, I think the hope is these operators come in and clean up the business. So it's not just an infusion of capital. We're fixing long-term situations to help generate more revenue, because the exit or takeaway, I think, is expected to come when the market TV rights go to market. That's not until 2030, 2031. So for the next 5 years, you have to find ways to make money because you have a new financial partner that's going to be putting pressure on you.
And one thing that should be stated is the report that the Tribune and Jason Patacchio obtained. This was all from the 2024 calendar year.
Correct.
So it wasn't the recent year; it was the year before, where they analyzed, through the eyes of the folks in the athletic department. There were some pretty damning quotes in there. Like, there just really is no way around it. Like week to week survival, comp tickets at football and basketball, obviously, but football was like, woof. Like, if that's where the athletic department is, then they have a lot of things to fix. And to their credit, I think it's Patrick Nolan who's in charge of that, said that they had a surplus of $3.3 million in 2025 after commissioning this report of the athletic department in 2024. But they've got some work to do, man. And I said it last week. I am a little concerned that they're not willing to divulge the financial, even the most basic financial terms in terms of like what's going where. And don't know if they'll eventually be able to get there. But you can't just throw out the number $500 million for a public institution and not expect people to wonder where it's going and what for. Especially because you've hit on several times, it's like this is going to end up costing people more money. And it's going to cost people their jobs, or already has.
Yep. Chris, hashtag you boys, hashtag family on 3.
Hashtag
Norway, Iraq just started. Go watch it.
What do you got?
Good. Norway.
I know you do.
Oh, you know what? That's an unnecessary shot out the door. So do you. They're favored to win. Rude. That was rude. That was an unnecessary shot out the door by my friend Chris. All right, we'll catch a break. 2 hours down, 2 hours to go. Dave Fox is here. Is Dave here?
Then we're going to go KB, then Dave.
Oh, all right. Well, then you should stay tuned. Coming up next, former captain of RSL, Kyle Beckerman stops by, so keep it here on ESPN 700. All righty, welcome back in. This is episode 11 of A Reality Check with Spence Checketts, our new podcast with our friends at Sinclair and KUTV. Reminder, we are recording this on Tuesdays. It is released on Wednesdays, and it is televised on KJazz and KMYU on Friday nights. So if you're watching us on TV, you might hear a little bit of yesterday's news. But we brought in the captain, and I'm thrilled that he agreed to do this. How many podcasts have a former World Cup player, longtime captain of Real Salt Lake, my friend Kyle Beckerman, on the program? What's up, dude? How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
You know, I was chuckling when I realized, because I don't know if you remember this, I had you on my radio show 4 years ago.
Okay.
And it was during a World Cup game. I don't know if you remember this, but I had the World Cup game on in the studio, and you were watching it.
Okay.
And we were both like clearly distracted. Yeah. And we're actually televised and recording during the France game as well. So
I know you owe me.
Let's be efficient so we can get you out of here, man. Hey, really good to see you. But let's just talk about your life update. Obviously, you're an RSL legend. I believe you're the most important piece in the history of our team. You made us a winner. Upon your retirement, you took a coaching job, and you're no longer doing that. So for our RSL listeners, what are you up to these days?
I'm a professional husband and dad.
There you go.
Yep.
There you go.
Just enjoying it. I got a 7-year-old, 5, and 3.
Wow.
And my wife and I are just, going all in and enjoying it as much as we can.
Living the good life.
The good life. Yeah.
Have you put a soccer ball at the feet of any of the kiddos?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
nice.
No pressure.
Yeah.
They can do whatever they want.
Sure.
But definitely, my oldest got a love for the game, and he's got the World Cup fever going on right now. And,
very nice.
My daughter's a little bit. She doesn't know about it yet.
Okay.
It's kind of her older brother's thing, but she's got a lion heart, I think.
Oh, no. She's got the Kyle heart, huh? Okay.
And then my little one, he's into soccer, and he's like a bowling ball. He'll just throw his head in anything, and he's got that heart.
I wonder where these kids got that from. So, Kyle, one of the things I like to do in this space, we're going to talk RSL. I know you're close with Pablo. You keep in touch with the team. We're going to talk World Cup, of course, because it's going on right now. But I like to use this space to allow our community to kind of get to know the people, that make up the sports ecosystem in our market. Obviously, you and I are both Northeast boys, DMV style, Maryland. Talk us through kind of your background. You were a wrestler, and when was the first time you thought, like, I might be good at the soccer stuff?
Wow. Well, yeah, like you said, I'm from Maryland. Both my parents were teachers, one elementary, one high school, and had an older brother that was playing soccer, wrestling, and kind of everything, swimming, whatever we could do back then. And but this wrestling and soccer kind of took off. And I think we kind of, when you kind of start to decide as you get older what you're going to get serious in, and we chose those. And I was lucky enough. There's a big soccer, area. The East DMV is huge with soccer even back then. So it was around. There was things to kind of spark that dream of, what is this? What can you do with soccer? And so I knew early on that I was competitive. I think before I even knew what competition was, I was competing with my brother and wrestling and and soccer. And so I had a love for it. I knew I was pretty good, and the hard work about that, chasing dreams and stuff, knowing it's going to take hard work. A lot of it, I just followed my brother because he was going after it and wrestling and being really successful. But it was the summer of 1990 where the World Cup in the U.S. had just qualified for the World Cup in Italy. Yeah. And I think I was playing coach pitch, half that season of baseball. And my mom told me that this game's going to be on TV in the U.S. And that really sparked a dream. It created heroes for me. All the U.S. players were heroes of mine. And then as I was watching the tournament, I started to, know players from other teams, and the Klinsmans in Germany, Lothar Matthäus and Maradona at Argentina. And so now my world was just like opened up entirely in soccer. And it really just sparked a dream of, okay, that's what I want to do. I don't really know how to get there, but that looks awesome.
When did the Bradenton, John Ellinger call come? Because was that kind of the first time it sparked in your mind, like, well, wait a second, I'm not just kind of good at this, I might be really good at this?
Yeah, so it's wild when you think back because it starts so early.
Yeah.
And so the whole process kind of everything, it started like 6th grade. And kind of making your way through. And then ninth grade was a real kind of fork in the road with wrestling.
Okay.
And I progressed in soccer, and now it was going to be, there was a big tournament, a round robin of the 4 regions in the country. And so I decided, of course, I'm going soccer. The National Preps Wrestling Tournament, I'm not going.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went out there, and was the first kind of camp or pool that they put together of the under 17 national team.
Okay.
So this is ninth grade, December. They're telling us, we have this plan in place, U.S. Soccer, that we want to win the World Cup and we also want to host it in 2010. They're asking us, do you guys know what your prime is in soccer? And do you know how old you'll be there in 2010? We're all, 28.
Yeah.
So it got us all kind of that dream. It's like, okay, this is actually starting to happen a little bit, or the pathway is being created. But then the next sentence they say to us is, but most of you guys won't make it.
Yeah.
And told us straight up, were honest with us. And we all had that mindset of, well, it's not going to be us that doesn't make it, and so that sparked it, and that started. And so we went about 2 years or so, freshman year, the rest of freshman year, sophomore year, and then junior year, first semester was basically every 2 weeks they would send us somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And it was either to go play against the regions that those guys didn't get it, and they get another chance to show themselves, and like, you got to keep your place.
Mm-hmm.
And then it would be, they'd get a team together to go to Europe, and we'd go to Europe and play those top teams over there, the countries over there, then come back another 2 weeks. We'd go in a domestic camp to have now opens the team up again. Mm-hmm. And you now need to hold your space again to then make the next tournament. And then it got to the point where, as we were going to play these Italy's, Germany's, England's, well, when they would play those games, they were coming in with their national team, highest level they can be in, and then they go back, and now they're going back to Manchester United, they're going back to Juventus, these top clubs in their country. I'm coming back high school soccer. I'm coming back to club soccer. And so that's when they decided to put us in this residency program down there in Florida with Ellinger.
Give us a couple of names before we move off of this, because you were with Landon, and was Clint there? I mean, all those. Okay.
Yeah, Clint's a bit older.
Okay.
It's Landon, Donovan, DeMarcus Beasley,
Onyewu.
Yeah. Those are kind of the big names in that group.
So when did your first pro stop was Miami? Do you remember
first
that
pro
correctly?
stop was Miami.
Okay.
Yep. So I graduated high school in 2000. The season had already started, but once the under 17 the world championships ends, now the under 20 starts. So now they bring in the older age group, and then you start a 2-year process for that. And so as I'm in that process, guys are, at that time, some top guys are still going to college, but there's now more push, and there's more guys signing right from high school to go pro.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to about June after a under 20s camp, and I got to make a decision. And so I signed with the league in June, and there was like a lottery at the time. And got picked up by the Miami Fusion, and there you go.
Were you with, okay, so I know Pablo was there at one point. Were you in Miami with Pablo? You were?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's when you first met Pablo.
And Nick.
And Nicky Raimondo, that's right. Yeah, I forgot that Nicky was there. Okay, so a lot of RSL ties with that earlier Miami group.
Yep.
And then we're going to skip the Colorado years for the most part. Okay.
Yeah.
And just for the sake of time, I do want to talk about John Ellinger, who is a prince of a man. Love John. He left us with probably the best gift he possibly could have, and that is trading for you. The only reason I had known you is you were so recognizable. You had the dreadlocks back in the day. Are you thinking about bringing those back?
No, I don't think so.
Father of 3, no dreadlocks?
I don't know. We'll see. Maybe some Willie Nelson.
Yeah, I like it. Well, John, when he made the trade, told all of us, you're going to love this kid. Okay. And anecdotally, I want to share with you, I don't know if I've ever told you this before. I went to your first practice.
Okay.
And within 10 to 15 minutes, you had raised the level of competition in the entire group. And I'm like, all right, this is exactly what we need, because the expansion years and the first couple of years for RSL was really, really tough. And I can remember my father sat me down in 2004. He came out and took me to lunch, and he said, I'm going to bring a soccer team to Utah. And I said, that is a horrible idea. What are you doing? And then for the first few years, we're trying to get the stadium deal done. We're playing at Rice Eccles Stadium. You played against RSL with Pablo in a very famous night up there. But from my perspective, our entire culture changed with the move John made and you arriving here. Tell me, when you first landed and you started to get a feel for the group, tell me what your initial reaction was and what did you have in mind as far as what you wanted to be for RSL?
Yeah, I was really excited for the coaching staff with Robin. I played with him in Colorado. Jeff, I played with in Miami. And then Jason, I knew we played against each other. And I knew it was going to be a change in because I'd never had a coach that was that recently removed from playing.
So Jason had just taken over.
He had just taken over.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So so actually the Colorado game was like, we played you guys here. We won in Colorado.
Okay.
I think he retired maybe Sunday or whatever.
Yeah.
Or Ellinger gets fired.
Yep.
It was boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And then I was here about a month after that.
Okay.
And where was I going with that?
Yeah, you were excited to play for Jason.
Yeah, Jason. Yeah.
You had played with Jeff and
Getting
Robin.
over here. Yeah. And so that first and foremost, I mean, the record that they were in right there was disappointing.
Yeah.
But I thought this is going to be cool with these coaching staff.
Yeah.
And then when I got in here, I knew some of the players here. I think Andy was already here. Winger had just got here.
For Chris, yeah.
Nick was here.
Yep.
So there was some pieces and people. Eleko Eskandarian was here. I played with him. But there was a bit of laxness in the training that I noticed right from day one. And but the guys that I just mentioned and others had that mentality of really it was like a fresh blank slate of we were all kind of wanting to get to a place that you could kind of mold and so it was really just about putting in that day after day after day and we can do something here and with the fan base was already there because like you said it was a tough couple first years but the fan base was still pretty solid. I mean we knew if we could win we'd get even bigger, but there was a foundation laid already that was exciting to try to put together a winning team. Do
you remember the origin story of getting the captain's armband? Because I do feel like everything changed when you became officially the captain and the leader.
I never really even, I don't remember. I think it was maybe late at my locker one time for a game, but I wore it. I didn't feel like, I'm the captain of the team. I was just being myself and trying to use the experience I had. And a lot of that experience that I learned from the different teams, it was about being just a good human being in the locker room and making sure that people, they know you care and just getting that part right. And then also, if you're going to be successful, it's not just one captain. There's multiple. There's leaders on the team that act like captains, whether they wear the armband or not. And so that was kind of I didn't care if I wore it or not. I was honored to wear it to represent the guys, but it wasn't just me. It was all of us. How are we going to make this inside this locker room match what we're putting on the field? Did
you feel any extra pressure because not only were you made the captain, but those of us in the front office made you our face? We put you on every billboard. You were on every ad. Like you became the face of RSL. And for me, in a way, I kind of feel like you still are because you were on the team, the captain of the team that hoisted the only cup that we had. Did you feel any extra added pressure kind of being the face of the team?
I didn't mind. It was a responsibility I felt of the player that I wanted to be and the team that I wanted to play on. We want that. I take that responsibility. And I think what I learned in that experience of those early days is a lot of it was as you get older, instead of as a youngster, I'm just thinking about myself and am I ready to play? And then as you got older, you took on that. Okay, well, not only am I ready to play, but I have to play well to give my team a chance to win. And I know that's a responsibility. So I think that experience gave me that. I was ready for it. I was okay with it.
So the central holding mid spot that you took over for RSL, growing up, you were more of an attacking player, correct? And the reason I bring this up, and I think I've told you this before, after one of the games, you scored one of your bombs. Like you used to randomly score these 30, 35, we call them Becker bombs. And after one of the games, when you had scored that, I had Jason as my guest on the post game show. And I said, Jay, I got a great idea. Put Kyle up front. And he looks at me with the way Jason will look at you, like scolding me like I'm a little brother. And he said to me, if Kyle embraces this position, he's going to play in a World Cup. And I went, was it ever difficult for you to not play further up when you had the ability to score goals like you did, or did you embrace that spot?
For sure.
Okay.
No, it took a while.
Yeah.
And I think there was probably as we progressed as a team and we kept going in the years, I think there was a balance of it. And there was, because I could score and there was some attacking, I could play this position a little bit differently than maybe a classic just defensive.
They had to respect you. Yeah.
Right. Like
your offensive side.
Because I felt, if I'm big part of that position is defending their number 10, who's going to be their attacking mid. Well, I also know that those attacking mids don't like to defend.
Right.
And so can I put some pressure on him going the other way, doing what he doesn't like?
Okay.
And as we just everything became second nature after a while with our team. You knew there was guys, teams were set. We knew what we were going to do. And so always for RSL, I mean, definitely it took time to embrace it. But then as I did embrace it, there were still times to get forward. And there was if I did make a run or make a tackle and then I could get in the attack, then Tony could pinch in or one of those guys could pinch in. So we kind of learned to kind of use it. I knew that was your big responsibility is that defensive part of the game. But I think, I took some responsibility of, I got to help offensively as well.
So my son, Connor, who I have a picture of you and Connor when he was about 5 framed in my house, and you had the dreads and you were his favorite. Recently, he looked up on ChatGPT, most impressive MLS Cup run ever. And it's 2009 RSL because we were under 500, right?
Yeah.
So here's my question. When did you get the idea? Like, all right, we've got something here. Because from my vantage point, Jason, Diamond midfield, you and Javier started to really understand each other as players. And look, respectfully, I don't know that we've seen somebody with the skill of Javier Morales like ever. He was kind of that's what elegant soccer looks like. Then you had Nat and Homison together. You referenced Tony and Wing on the outside. Ned, and I could bring back Clint. I started to see okay, I don't think anybody would have predicted a cup, but as a player and as a captain in 2009, when did you start going, okay, we've got something here?
Yeah, I mean, in 2009, for sure, it was that first series when we were able to go to Columbus and put them down. So that was a big tournament because in the time we were here from 2007, that second half of the season to we went till that game, really, the biggest thing that was holding us back was just on the road.
Yeah.
We got home field sorted. You came here, it was going to be really tough for you. And then we'd go on the road and we knew it'd be tough. I mean, obviously sometimes you're dropping in, you're going to humidity or you're whatever it is and they're home and other teams are good. But we didn't have that. There was something that was holding us back in those away games. We'd get a chance to make it 1-0. And next thing you know, we end up losing 2-0.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, you score there, we're up 1-0. And now it's a different game. So there was a growth period that we still had to go through. And as soon as we hit that in Columbus, where we beat the reigning champs in their place, and now it's okay, it's on. And we get to Chicago. And now if you look back a year before, we're at home, Western Conference final, to get into the final.
Yeah.
And we lost.
Yeah.
So now we're thinking that experience gave us the push. Well, who cares? We got to go to Chicago. It doesn't guarantee anything if you're at home. We know that.
Yeah.
So I think that gave us that confidence in that next game. We went there and again, we played really well, but we didn't score. And in the finals, we go there and we play really well, but we struggled scoring a little bit. And but when we did when we won that tournament, where we won it, it definitely turned a corner in us. It was almost like the start, you think of a championship as the tip of the mountain, but this thing was we were just keep climbing.
Yep.
It really pushed us forward even more.
Yeah. Started this 4 or 5 year historic run, still the best run in the history of RSL, CONCACAF final, MLS Cup, beating David Beckham and your former teammate, Landon Donovan. I got a kick out of the narrative. It was the stars versus the team is the star, because that was Jason's thing. But you knew Landon, you're not going to look at him oh, it's Landon. No, I played with him as a kid, so historic win there. A few minutes left. Give me a quick thought on how your life changed with your World Cup experience. Let me just take the time. You should have started against Belgium. We all say that all the time. But I want to end with a thought on the current national team. But how did your life change with your World Cup experience?
Wow. I mean, of course it did. There's just tons of eyes in the World Cup. But there's such a mental aspect of the whole thing that even though it's the biggest tournament in the world and this is your dream, you also have to trick your mind of it's just another game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Stadium's the same size. Part of that defensive midfielder job is I'm going to make one of their better players have a bad game today. And it's, so there's that mental part of this that you're just kind of, pretending that it's just a regular game. And so when I think it might change my life. For me, I got to live a dream that you don't really know the details, but I got to kind of live it.
Well, it's really cool that we started the conversation about you in ninth grade, looking at 2010, like them telling you this is when you might make it. Mm-hmm. It took until 14, but 0.1% of people on the planet actually live out their dream, Kyle. Mm-hmm. So that's a really, really cool thing,
Yeah. So grateful. So grateful.
All right. We got a few minutes left here. So look, from my vantage point, Mauricio Pochettino, game 1, Paraguay, A+, right? 4-1. So tell me what you saw in that game and what your hope is for this group during this cycle.
Yeah, it was a really impressive start. They came out the amount of adrenaline that was in that game.
Yeah.
And they used it to their benefit. They really did. I think maybe the first couple minutes Paraguay got in our box, and then pretty much after that and their goal, but it was complete dominance. And I thought what was incredible is when we got that first goal, you saw the just momentum start to build even more, and then you saw the confidence rise in the players. I mean, what Pulisic was able to do, he had the guy in his pocket. Anytime he wanted to run at him, he had him. Balogun's goal, I mean, you're talking putting it in where he did in the net in the World Cup. Mm-hmm. And it just seemed it was like exactly the start you would want to have in a tournament you're hosting.
So we've got Australia coming up. And again, if you're watching on TV, that game's going on right now. But if you're listening, it's Wednesday. Expectation for me, it's not just get out of the group, go win the group and win a couple of knocks. I'd love to see a quarterfinal appearance.
For sure. No, I think the biggest thing is going to be, how do you maintain this energy? All the teams, it's going to be, because a big part of the game is pressing. And when you lose the ball, can you repress and win that right away and keep teams pinned in? As it goes further on, these guys are going to get tired. Who's keeping the ball? Who's really suffering in these games? So for sure, I mean, these guys need to dream big. You never know we just saw Spain tie Cape Verde. Yeah. And so anything can happen in these games. And so we got to believe we can go the whole way, but we got to just sustain this momentum, keep that high energy, the pressing. And then if we can score like we are, finishing like that, it doesn't matter who's in front of us.
Oh, I agree. Hey, but we'll put 30 seconds here on the clock or so. When I heard that RSL was making Pablo Mastroeni the head coach, I went, wait a second. That dude from that night? And I told you off air, over the past 5 years, I've been able to get to know him. What a sweet guy.
Awesome.
And an unbelievable coach. Yep. What sort of job do you think he's done? What do you think about the team this year?
Yeah, incredible. Really exciting young team.
Yeah.
It's been really fun to watch. I think the game against Inter Miami, we had the chances to we could have been up 2-0 before they even woke up. But that's a good sign that we're there slugging it away with the team that's winning it. And we got some exciting guys. I think it'd be great if we can add some guys here, some champions here for the second half of the season. It's a big run. There's gonna be a lot of games, and some experience could help these young guys kind of keep going.
It's been 17 years since we lifted a trophy, man.
Wow.
Maybe this year's the year. Who knows?
This year. Yeah.
Hey, great to see you. Thanks again for doing this. Okay. We'll catch up soon.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. The captain, Kyle Beckerman. Some conversations will be left off air. Dave Fox is live in studio wearing a Tommy Bahama palm tree shirt. You look rather relaxed today.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I'll dress up for tonight.
Is it Tommy Bahama, though?
Yeah, it is, I think.
Yes, you nailed it.
Is it?
What is it? I can't see it from here. I feel like once you reach a certain age, Tommy Bahama is just like the deal. It's like, this is what we do now.
Right. Pick this up at Nord's. And,
don't call it Nord's.
Before Kath retired.
You can say Kath, but don't call it Nord's. So. Do you still get the Nordstrom family discount?
Yeah, that's a lifetime thing.
Wait, how'd you pull that off?
But you always get it.
Even though she retired, you still get the Nordstrom family discount.
I'm guessing there's an expiration on it sooner or later, but we'll see.
Is it transferable to good family friends?
Oh, not even your kids.
Wait, so only you and Kathy get it?
Yeah.
What if Fox on the Box wants like a shirt? You take him?
Well, maybe I'll buy it.
Okay. Good to be Dave Fox, as I always say.
Yeah. How are you? How is it? Can I just say congrats? You're one of the long-suffering.
Oh, yes.
In fact, it's funny.
Can we turn Dave's mic down a little bit? He's blasting in my ear.
and I can hear it in the studio because there's no headsets in here
You're
because
good.
Porter doesn't like me.
Would you stop?
So I thought it was interesting. The parade's Thursday.
Yes, it is.
Lower Manhattan.
Yep.
And in 73, the last time they won a title, they didn't have a parade. They had like a little rally, but they didn't do a parade because the mayor back then, whoever it was, he didn't want to, close down traffic.
We're talking about the Knicks, by the way, for people.
Yeah, we're talking about
confused.
the Knicks. So we talk about how long it's been since they won a title. I don't think they've ever really had a parade. I don't remember if they had one prior to 73.
Nope. No, this will be the first one.
So this will be the first one.
Yeah.
But I know you're a longtime Knicks fan, and you're a legit Knicks fan because you're not one of those people that, I had a layover in Minnesota one year, so now I'm a Timberwolves fan. I mean, your father was part of the program. You grew up in that area. So congrats. It's gotta be
it was fun. And I always try to remember that my day job is a radio host in Salt Lake City, so trying to watch it through the prism of what it means for the Jazz. It's really cool. I mean, you know the deal. You get into this business, and whether you like it or not, the fan does kind of die a little bit. You're just kind of going to games as part of the job. I never want to take that for granted. It's a really cool thing. But there are very few games or moments or stories that still invoke that fan in you. I think if Utah football won a Big 12 championship or went to the CFP, I think my Utah football fandom would show because that's my school. Utah basketball getting back to the tourney and making a run, and the Knicks and the Jazz winning something special because those are the two teams that kind of colored my basketball world in a way. I've been spoiled by the Yankees, even though it's been a minute. The Jets are atrocious. So
but at least they have a Super Bowl.
Yeah, it was 1969 when you were 43. I wasn't alive then, Dave.
I'm a Cowboys fan. So, by the way, Porter, speaking of fandom, does he have a legitimate association with the Cowboys?
Yeah, Porter's a Knicks fan and a Cowboys fan.
But why did he grow up in Dallas?
His father, okay? He was raised as a Cowboys
are we doing
fan.
This again?
Yeah, I mean, how many times do we have to explain this to
I
you?
grew up in Dallas, just as you grew up.
How many years did you spend in Dallas?
8.
What were the ages?
From 3 to like 11.
You
12.
can't say you grew up in Dallas if you were in diapers in Dallas.
No, I left. We moved when I was in junior high school. That totally counts.
To where?
Are you kidding?
Where'd you move to?
To the Bay Area.
And then where'd you go?
Then here.
Wasn't there a Seattle situation
That
mixed
was
in?
before. When I was born in Seattle.
Born in Seattle.
Really quick. Born in Seattle.
Okay, this is riveting.
Then moved to Dallas.
Okay.
Then the Bay Area.
Uh-huh.
Actually, we moved to the Bay Area prior to going to Dallas for about a year or two. Back to the Bay Area, then here. And it's here where I became Brad Thomas.
Born in Seattle, Bay Area, Dallas, Bay Area, Utah, Brad Thomas.
Yes.
Okay. That's the Dave Fox
That's
/ Brad Thomas.
So that's why I was
growth.
a bit of a Niners fan for some time, especially when Steve Young was there.
Oh,
'Cause he's
look
a
at
friend.
this. Not a Cowboys fan. A Cowboys fan
I was
and
at
a
the time
Niners fan.
because Steve was a friend, and that's how that worked.
Steve was a friend?
Yeah.
Porter, will you text Steve Young and say, do you even know who Dave Fox is?
I'm going to.
I have his
Okay.
cell number.
So do
Want me
we.
to text him?
Friend of the show, Steve Young.
No, he's good. He's a good guy.
Well, back to
Anyway, sorry, I
it was a
digress.
cool thing, and the other cool thing is, I probably should not have raised my son with my fandom because he's a long-suffering fan as well. But he's living back east now, and he went to Game 3 with my brother.
Really?
They attended the game, so he's sending me all these videos, and then during the comeback, in Game 4, it was 72-49.
Yeah, unreal.
He calls me from a Knicks watch party on the Upper West Side, and he said, "Should I stay here? Is there a chance that they're going to come back?" And I said, "Well, everything would have to go perfectly, meaning San Antonio would have to start blowing it, which they did." Yeah. So we ended up staying there, and we watched the comeback on FaceTime together. He was in New York, and I was here, so it was fun. I will admit to being very, very excited to actually see the team of my youth win an NBA championship, and I'm excited for about 99% of the organization. I think it's really cool.
I think I know who the 1% is, but good for you.
Ultimately, this is about the fans in the city.
Yeah, and it
right?
should be.
Yeah.
And what a unique fan base. It's even, I mean, we get into that whole Hollywood thing, and the Lakers have some of that, but it just seems like the Knicks, their celebrity fan base is like a whole different level.
Yeah, you got
from the Lakers, they kind of sit on their hands and just enjoy it, but not these Knicks fans.
No, Laker games are like a scene. Yeah. People go to Laker games to be seen, and they want to know what's going on after the game. Half of them leave at halftime to go to a beach or whatever. That's fine. Knicks fans are diehard.
Whole different level.
And you look down Celebrity Row, I mean, it's Larry David, it's Jerry Seinfeld, it's me, it's Ben Stiller, it's Timothy Chalamet.
I caught that.
It's heavy hitters, you know.
No, and then Taylor Swift shows up. With the twins.
Look,
or the sisters. Can't remember their name.
Okay, calm down. But let's be clear. Like Taylor, I didn't even know Taylor Swift was a Cavs fan.
Yeah,
last
I don't know
month.
that she's a fan. I think she just got tickets.
But the other thing about these Knicks fans is they've been Knicks fans forever, and they're diehard with the team. And I promise you, you go to Game of the Garden, it's not near. And part of this is, look, it's the weather in South Beach, it's the weather in Southern California. Heat fans leave early all the time. Laker fans leave early all the time. In New York, during basketball season, the weather sucks. You're not trying to get out of the Garden. You want to stay there as long as you can and then shrug home in the snow and cold. Like, culturally, basketball is a different thing in New York. It is a basketball city. But I'll tell you one thing, Dave, that I think was interesting as it pertains to the Jazz. This is the first time that we've had an NBA champion that doesn't have a Jokic, SGA, Luka, Kobe, Jordan since Detroit in 2004. Now, Jalen Brunson has turned out to be a player nobody thought he would be, including himself and his dad. His dad, after the game, was like, "I didn't see any of this coming." There are highlight videos now of Jalen being trained as a young player. He looks like a baby deer. He can barely even run up and down the floor. I bring that up because the Jazz are never going to be the market that Durant chooses or LeBron chooses or Jokic or who. Like, the big free agent is never going to be like, "I want to play in Utah." The Jazz can look at what the Knicks just did as a model to build a team that can win a championship. And we've had 8 different champs in the last 8 years.
Yeah, how cool is that?
Among those champs is Milwaukee, Oklahoma City, Denver. I mean, we are talking about
Toronto
markets.
bought one.
Well, I mean, but that's what you got to do. Yeah. I mean, but Toronto's a big market. We're talking about cities that are analogous to Salt Lake and organizations that have done this a certain way that the Jazz can absolutely look at.
No, it's a lot of fun to see that. And Brunson is an example of anybody, I don't want to be cliche here, but, you know, follow your dreams. You can win a title. Who's the Becky Hammond?
Becky Hammond.
I mean, I kind of feel bad for her in a way. Her comment from a couple of years ago that they absolutely cannot win.
Well, I would challenge people to go back then and find anybody that thought she was wrong. That's what makes that's what makes this story really cool, because nobody thought Jalen was the guy.
Yeah, and anyone. You're right. I mean, she didn't take any heat for it then.
No, I mean, people thought the Knicks overpaid for him, and it turns out they massively underpaid. And the other thing Jalen did that nobody does now, literally left $113 million on the table so they could bring in Cat, so they could bring in Bridges, sign OG, and pay OG the way that OG needed to be paid. Like, Jalen Brunson is the king of New York. He will walk on water there forever.
If I'm not mistaken, OG now has a couple of rings. He was on the
He won a title with the Raptors, but he was hurt. He did not play in the finals.
But, yeah, you're right. What Brunson is, you're right. He's never going to have to pay for another meal again. I thought the coolest thing I saw, and I think maybe he was just stunned. His post-game interview was rough. I felt bad for
Jalen's?
Yeah, I mean, just it was.
He's emotional.
He couldn't get the words out.
Yeah.
I mean, when I say rough, I just mean it was difficult for him to even speak.
Right.
But as soon as that game ended, all the Knicks had run around screaming and yelling. He's just calmly walking over to the Spurs and gives their coach and players a hug. Did you notice
Well,
that? I'm talking about him immediately as the game ended.
Coaching players besides Wembanyama, who ran into the locker room like a baby.
Yeah, right.
That was disappointing.
Yeah, he's very young and he's got a lot to learn.
Stay on the floor and shake the hands after the series is over.
You know what it reminded me of? Cam Newton when he lost the Super Bowl. Remember that?
Sure.
He wouldn't even speak.
Yeah, stay out on the court, shake hands, and congratulate the other team. Am I losing my mind over it? No, but I thought Wembanyama showed some real immaturity, and this league is going to belong to him. This league is going to belong to him for a long time. I think that's what this year manifested. It also manifested that it remains a rite of passage league. San Antonio did something rather historic. Without long playoff runs in their history, they did go to the finals, but they didn't win it. This has been a 4-year build for New York. So, again, kind of back to the Jazz stuff. If they can just win 44, 45 games this year, get to the play-in, have a little bit of experience, then usually the way this goes, the next year, maybe you're a top 5-6 team. And then maybe you win around. Then the next year, hopefully you make a Western Conference Finals. And then maybe 3-4 years down the road, maybe we're talking about something special. The problem is San Antonio and Oklahoma City are so good and so young.
You know, I'm going to disagree with you on one point here. And Porter, go ahead and mark this hot take.
What does that mean?
What
do you mean mark it?
The Jazz are better. The market because you're going to want to keep playing this. The Jazz are better than a play-in team this year. They're going to be a playoff team, not a play-in team.
Go ahead and mark that, Porter, whatever that means. Did you mark it?
There you go.
I've got it recorded.
Okay.
You know how you do on your little machine there? You push the button
That's
or
not,
whatever and it marks
none
it.
of that's real.
Well, isn't that how you save your drops?
Mark Dave's hot take. Okay,
mark this.
Okay, so what you're saying is the Jazz are a top 6 team in the West next year.
I'm telling you that right now.
Are you willing to put your money where your mouth is?
What? How much money are you talking about?
Nordstrom discounts for life.
Oh, well, I don't have that ability. It has to be something I can deliver on.
No, you do have that ability because what it's going to be is I go to Nordstrom's.
The fact that you're even saying this on the radio ends it.
Okay, so if the Jazz are a top 6 team next year, I will take you to a steak dinner of your choice. If the Jazz are 7th or below, Daddy's taking Spence to Nordstrom, and
I'll do the same thing. I'll take you to a steak dinner.
No, I want the Nordstrom discount.
No, I can't do that. I'm not doing that.
I want 5 Nordstrom suits. You know what? For free.
How about Mr. Mack?
First of all, do not ask me to speak poorly of Mr. Mack. My father worked at Mr. Mack. My aunt and uncle met at Mr. Mack.
Dave Checketts worked at
Mr. Mack. Shout out to Scott and Chris Leishman, met at Mr. Mack. I have a reverent respect for Mr. Mack.
My brother-in-law owns a couple of them.
Okay, having said that, I want free Nordstrom suits.
No, that's not going to happen.
Why are you afraid to put your money where your mouth is?
I can't even talk about that in public. And
you already have
a horrible situation right now.
Look,
we don't have the discount anymore. It expires after she's been gone a year.
Hey, Porter, mark this down.
No.
We
finally not mark this down. I'm not even going to let you say it.
We finally found what makes him uncomfortable. We finally found what's so important to Dave he doesn't want to talk about it publicly.
Talk to Brad Thomas. Maybe he'll help you out.
Steak dinner then.
Steak dinners.
Okay.
Like Roos Chris?
Well, we'll see. But top 6 team, you say Jazz are top 6. I find them more like 8, 9, 10.
Okay, that's fine. You're on. Man. And you'll be able to see them all on K-Jazz finally winning games.
I love how little Dave actually watches NBA basketball, thinking the Jazz are going to be a top 6 team next year.
I haven't missed a Jazz game.
Well, I said NBA basketball.
No, I see a lot of the West. I'm just telling you there's some holes in the West.
Where are they?
A lot. Just about everywhere, except for San Antonio.
Okay. All right. So you tell me this year, let's go over the top 6 teams.
Let's just go down there and I'll tell you better or worse.
Oklahoma City.
Slightly worse.
Slightly worse?
No, I'm talking about the Jazz.
Yeah, I know.
Yes,
slightly?
Worse. They will beat Oklahoma City at least once this year.
That means nothing.
Keep going.
Oklahoma City far behind. San Antonio.
Behind.
Denver.
About on par.
You're nuts.
Yeah, no, on par.
See, this is why I can't do media in this market, dude. Are you catching? Are you cashing checks from Ryan Smith?
No, I've put up with 3 or 4 years on our air of this tanking stuff. I'm excited now.
Okay, here's where we can get into some interesting teams. The Lakers.
They're going to be. Luka will be hurt most of the year, and who knows what LeBron's doing. I'm going to say the Jazz will be better.
Better than the Lakers.
Yes.
Impossible to say today, but we'll see what happens during the offseason. Okay, the Rockets.
Better. Underachievers.
This is hilarious.
Underachievers.
Minnesota.
Better, for sure.
Let's catch a break. This is an exercise in futility.
What about the Suns?
They're
better?
not close to the Timberwolves. They're not close to the Rockets.
You're just disrespectful now.
I'll give you the Lakers because we don't know what's going to happen during the offseason. Blazers.
Oh, much better.
Did you watch them this year?
Yeah, I know. They were a playing team.
Phoenix Suns.
Way better.
It's just hilarious. LA Clippers.
Probably better.
It depends.
I mean, they're so weird. I mean,
we'll see.
Them out.
I mean, yeah, the complications with this is we have an entire offseason ahead. The Clippers have a top 6 pick. They do have Kawhi Leonard, but maybe they don't. Maybe they're going to get in trouble. Okay, the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, they're better than that.
See,
talk about a mess.
It's going to be interesting to see what they do because Steve Kerr comes back. It means they have to figure something out. Now that I've looked at this list, I'm actually more confident that you're going to be buying me a steak dinner.
I'm more confident that you're going to be buying me one.
22 wins a year ago. And you think
they could have won 32 if they hadn't purposely lost a bunch.
To be a top 6 team, you essentially have to win 50 games. Do you believe the Jazz are going to win 50 games?
I had them pegged between 45 and 50. So for the purposes of this bet, entertainment purposes only, I'm going to say yes.
No, it's not entertainment purposes. There's a steak dinner on the line.
Well, that's the entertainment is just being there and sharing a steak dinner.
But there's still something of value. The over-under is 44.5. The Jazz would have to.
I'm going 5 to 6 over that.
Which is a massive number. You understand that?
No, I get it.
This is wild to me. We haven't even talked about Dallas.
Oh, way better.
Cooper Flagg, Kyrie Irving. Yeah, way better. Yeah, those guys are horrible. Right now, I'll give you the Kings, give you the Grizzlies, I'll give you the Pelicans. Those are the teams the Jazz are
so there's only
definitely
3
better
teams,
than.
according to you, that are worse than
that are the Jazz are definitely better than. Okay, then we get into what the Dallas Mavericks will try to do next year, just like the Utah Jazz. Wild card with the Clippers because of the Kawhi stuff. Golden State next year could start the season with a healthy Jimmy Butler, Steph Curry, Kristaps Porzingis, and Draymond Green. There's a lot of ifs, though, with those players staying healthy.
They're also aging.
I'll tell you the teams that it's not even close, and it just means you're not watching. Oklahoma City, San Antonio, Denver, Houston, Minnesota. Easy. Jazz get in this mix where Phoenix, Portland.
You know they beat San Antonio in San Antonio.
It doesn't matter. It's a regular season win.
Well, I'm just saying. That's all you need is some of those regular season wins, and you're not a play-in team.
They're not.
You're a playoff.
Not even. See, this is.
Make sure you share this with Ryan Smith.
This is the problem, though. What we do in this market is we're such freaking homers that we set these.
I am not a homer.
We set these expectations in fans' minds. It's not realistic.
I'm not even close to being a homer. I fully supported the tank.
If they win 44 games and go to the play-in next year, that's a 20-win improvement year over year. Do you know how hard that is to do?
Wow. But they're going to win more than that, and they're going to be a top 6 team.
Can we get to break? This is painful. I did
want
to
do this with the Mammoth.
No, one more thing. One more thing here, okay? Because I do need to kick the tires with you on the Brendan Sorsby situation.
Campbell, DraftKings, this, that, and the other. It goes on and on and on.
First of all, no DraftKings. Please do not knock on DraftKings on this program.
Oh, I'm not knocking. I'm just saying they exist.
No slander.
And do they sponsor you?
Look, I acknowledge the awkward nature of me doing a DraftKings read and then talking about Brendan Sorsby.
Okay. But point being,
you're not wrong.
It's literally handed out to these kids. And I guarantee you, and you know this, there's a bunch of Sorsbys out there. They're all but being told, go gamble. You can make some money. And obviously he went a little too far, and that's the way it is. I think the resolution's fine, and I hope he does well. I don't know what kind of a projection there is on this supplemental draft, but move on. Get your NFL clock moving.
Well,
assuming he's an NFL caliber player.
Hopefully what other athletes have learned is there is not a bunch of Brendan Sorsbys out there, because these markets and sports books have – this is how he got caught. He got flagged by a sports book. It's like, wait a second, you're Brendan Sorsby. And then – so my hope is that athletes and coaches have learned a lesson here, and that is you cannot get away with this. Now, we already thought we had learned that lesson, but suddenly this dude was going to play football, which just could not have been allowed. I think – Kirby Hocutt, the AD, Joey McGuire, the coach, I actually think they're breathing a big sigh of relief that they don't have to deal with this.
Well, and you know what? If one of the things it's probably taught them, get another name. It worked for me.
Brad Thomas just smashing bets left and right. Brad Thomas, someone named Brad Thomas just put $1 million on the Jazz being the number 6 seed in the West coming up next year.
What a loser that guy is.
All right, David, what's coming up on Talking Sports this evening?
Well, first of all, you just played your podcast with Kyle Beckham.
He was awesome.
How much fun is
So
he?
So nice of him.
He told
Kyle does not love doing that stuff. It was so nice of him to agree to it.
Well, but that's in that format. It's probably a lot easier for him, for a lot of people, because you make it so comfortable for him. I mean, there's still a mic and a studio, but it's different. So we're going to play a little clip of that. We always like to play some of your stuff from your podcast on Tuesdays. I think it's interesting what's going on with this Bosnian team working out at RSL. And they have 2 assistant coaches that are of Bosnian heritage. We're going to hear from those 2 tonight as well. They'll talk a little bit about that. Highlights from the World Cup. Everybody seems to really be into it. And a few other little nuggets here and there. And we'll go from there. Also, I'm excited because in a couple of weeks, Summer League starts for the Jazz as they begin their quest to be a playoff team. And all 3 of their games, Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, July 4th, 6th, and 7th, are broadcast on KJazz TV with Fuller and Big T on the call.
That's right. Okay, I'll meet you at City Creek in 30 minutes.
We're not paying it off yet.
No.
We're not doing that.
But no, just so we can go to the food court and have a sandwich and catch up.
Oh, okay.
Okay, sweet.
Love it. Thanks, dude.
Bye, Dave.
See you.
All right, 3 hours down, 1 hour to go. The final hour of the program is next on ESPN 700. Kind of a surprising piece of news out of the world of pro hockey. John Tortorella will not return as the Golden Knights coach. My guess is that is John's call after leading them to the Stanley Cup final, taking over towards the end of the year, and they played some really good hockey. So some kind of shocking news there. I want to tell you about my friends at Advanced Window Products. Okay, so here's the deal. It's hot this week. The weather's going to continue to get warmer. If your house is hot during the summer, even though you have the air conditioning jacked up, if it's cold during the winter, even though you have the heater jacked up, well, it's your windows, and you're wasting a lot of money on energy bills and such. So take advantage of their summer special going on right now. You save $2,500 when you purchase 10 windows or more, and their new deal is they can prorate those discounts if you need fewer than 10 windows. So give them a call at 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100. You will be doing business with a great local company supporting a great former Ute, Nate Orchard and his buddy Jake Weber, family owned. And they guarantee the windows for life. They can build, install, and guarantee the windows for life. Give them a call at 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100. Our good friends at Advanced Window Products. All right, Porter, some interesting stuff today concerning the current state of things with Jazz fans. Every year, it seems like we deal with some sort of the player does not want to be here, but it's not just Darren Peterson essentially canceling workouts or only working out for Washington. And the fact of the matter is the Jazz retain Walker Kessler's rights regardless. So as Tim McMahon said earlier today, typically when it comes to these tense negotiations, the team offers what they think is fair. The player and his agent comes back asking for more. Do you get a sense, though, that there's a chance that maybe Walker himself, because that's the most important part, maybe Walker himself is being, maybe he's become a little bit frustrated with how this has all gone down?
I don't know. I don't know Walker personally. I'd never really, outside of the media scrums and whatnot, been around him. But I don't get the sense that he's going to be one to push the issue too much. But listen, this is his agent's job, is to squeeze every dime out of that contract as he possibly can. But the messaging, and I would say the consistency of the messaging makes me feel like maybe there is something there, right? As you mentioned, it's been a year or so that Tim McMahon has talked to us about this and kind of warned us that this is probably headed to a place where maybe we see some offer sheets. And if that's the other thing. Yes, I do think that maybe there's something with Walker being frustrated with this system and with how this is all played out. But Spence, where is he on the market? Because I'll be honest with you, I think the numbers that Tim McMahon laid out seem really fair, and I'm not sure that there's going to be a bunch of teams lining up to give him more than that on the open market. Again, coming off of injury, and I wonder what that looks like, because I think that if it comes down to it and no one offers him more than that, and there's not a whole bunch of suitors, I don't think Walker Kessler is going to have any issue signing with the Utah Jazz and staying here for that $26-27 million a year range. Frankly, I think that's kind of where he lies in the world of pro basketball. So I'm sure he's frustrated that there hasn't been an agreement. I'm sure he's maybe frustrated that it isn't reaching the max that he may get out of it. But ultimately, I'm kind of along the same lines as Tim. I think this is more so posturing from both sides, posturing mainly from the people who have skin in the game that isn't basketball, right? That is in the front office, that is in the agency side. And when it comes down to it, my estimation is that Walker Kessler re-signs with the Utah Jazz probably around that 25, 26, maybe $27 million mark. But I don't know. I penny for Walker Kessler's thoughts on it all.
Yeah, and let me underscore something Tim said earlier. Tense negotiations are they're not rare in pro basketball when generational wealth is on the line. And, ultimately Walker not being able to play this year because of the injury did take away a little bit of his leverage. But to Porter's point, there's not a ton of money on the open market right now. Not a lot of teams have cap space. And another reminder as far as how the Jazz value Walker, go look at what the LA Clippers traded Ivica Zubats for. Ivica is now with the Pacers, and the reports are the Pacers offered that same package for Walker. It was a good package. It was Ben Mathurin. It was multiple first-round picks. If the Jazz really thought that this was untenable, they probably would have moved him prior to the deadline. The cap hold is a low number, which makes trading him a little bit complex. But again, the Jazz can basically put their offer on the table. And if Walker doesn't like it, they can say, go find something on the open market. And then even if he does, the Jazz have the ability to match it and bring him back, which I think they'll do. I don't think this is going to devolve into some sort of like he's so unhappy there's going to be a sign and trade situation. It's a little bit similar to the Hayward stuff. Okay, the Jazz told Hayward to go bet on himself. He got a max offer sheet from Charlotte. Then the Jazz matched it. Now, of course, that story did not end well because as soon as Gordon was an unrestricted free agent, he took off. And then the other thing, I'll just underscore one more thing. The Darren Peterson story is a nothing burger, in my opinion, unless there is some sort of strong messaging coming from Darren himself that is bottom line, Eli Manning, Chargers, John Elway type stuff that we will not play for you. If Darren Peterson is on the board at 2, and Austin Ainge believes he's the best option, Darren Peterson is the newest member of the Utah Jazz. That, to me, is the bottom line. All right, before we catch a break, I want to tell you about my friends at Game Day Men's Health. If you have not taken advantage of their offer, run and do it today. As I have expressed over the past few months since they signed on as a client, I work with them and have worked with them for 3 years. And as a result of putting their processes in place, I am in the best shape I've ever been in as an adult. Not bragging, just telling you can do the same thing with our friends in Game Day Men's Health. They're giving you the very same deal they give me. Number one is a free consultation. Just do that no matter what because it's free and there's no obligation. It takes about 15, 20 minutes. They're going to take a little blood, go over your levels with you, and they're going to recommend some things they have at their disposal to help you as you're trying to get back into shape or lose a lot of weight. I utilize their testosterone therapy and also some of their peptides, but they have all of the weight loss supplements, the trizipatide, the whatever the tides are that helps you out. But here's the kicker. If you mention you heard me talking about it on the show, if you sign up with them, they're giving you 50% off your entire membership. That's what makes this make sense. And honestly, it's why I do it, because it makes it affordable. So go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com right now. Schedule your free consultation with no obligation, and then tell them you heard me talking about it. If you sign up, they're going to give you 50% off your first-year membership with our friends at Game Day Men's Health. All right, that's going to do it for us. Porter, what's coming up on a Wednesday edition of the show?
A Wednesday edition of The Drive, halfway through the work week. How about the voice of the Knicks? Mike Breen joins the program. Another Knicks-related guest, but may have some stuff on the Jazz. In fact, I know he has some stuff on the Jazz in the draft. One Tony Jones of The Athletic will stop by the program, and then talking some World Cup, RSL at break, and plenty more. Of course, some U.S. men's national team with one Pablo Mastroeni.
There you go. That'll be a really fun Wednesday show, so join us for that, and we will say goodnight. Special thank you today to Tim McMahon, Chris Comrani, Dave Fox, and Kyle Beckerman. If you miss any of the sound from the show today, go to the website. It's ESPN700sports.com. Make sure to download our mobile app and take us on the go. Best way to listen to us, it's how I do it. That ESPN 700 app is available in the App Store and the Google Play Store for free. And then finally, for what we do in our space every afternoon, check out our podcast. It's called The Drive with Spence Checketts. It's available wherever you get your shows. So subscribe, rate, review, say nice things in the comments, and give us all the stars you can. For Porter, I'm Spence saying goodnight. Have a great Tuesday evening. We'll talk to you on a Wednesday edition of The Drive. And as always, you can catch it right here on ESPN 700.